The Force binds all things across the galaxy, connecting every living being in an invisible web of energy and destiny. For 1,000 generations, the Jedi have served as its guardians, interpreting its will and maintaining balance. But what happens when something arrives that the Force itself cannot predict? A city torn from another universe entirely, carrying technology that predates even the oldest Republic records. The first sign was the scream. Not audible, but felt. A disturbance that rippled through the Force like a stone thrown into still water. Across Coruscant, every Jedi from the youngest Padawan to Master Yoda himself felt it simultaneously, a wrongness, a presence that shouldn't exist, arriving where it had no right to be. On the bridge of the Venator-class Star Destroyer Endurance, Jedi Master Koon's hand moved instinctively to his lightsaber. The Keldor Jedi's breathing apparatus hissed softly as he turned toward the viewport, his orange-tinted eyes scanning the star-studded darkness of Coruscant's orbital space. Master PLO. Commander Wolf's gruff voice carried concern. The clone commander stood at attention, his cybernetic eye whirring as it focused on the sensor displays. Sir, we're reading. I don't know what we're reading. Before PLO Koon could respond, the universe tore open. It wasn't a hyperspace reversion. Those were familiar, predictable. This was violence. Reality itself seemed to split like fabric, and through that impossible wound poured light that belonged to no star in this galaxy. The bridge's viewports automatically polarized, struggling to compensate for the intensity. Then it appeared. The city ship Atlantis erupted into normal space, trailing streamers of exotic energy that sensor arrays couldn't classify. 5 kilometers of gleaming metal and ancient crystal, shaped like a snowflake of impossible geometry, tumbled through the orbital lanes above the Republic capital. Its central spire reached upward like a monument to a civilization that had never existed in this universe. Warning klaxons blared across the Endurance. Collision alert, the clone officer shouted. Unidentified object on intercept course with Traffic Control Station 7. PLO Koon's response was immediate. Redirect all nearby traffic. Commander Wolf, bring us about. Tractor beam crews, stand ready. But even as the orders left his mouth, the Jedi Master felt something shift. The massive city ship's tumble arrested itself with startling precision. Across its surface, lights flickered to life in cascading patterns. A shimmering barrier, unlike any deflector shield PLO Koon had ever sensed, enveloped the structure in a translucent cocoon of energy. The city stopped moving. It simply hung there in space, impossibly graceful for something so massive, its shield reflecting Coruscant city lights in a kaleidoscope of colors. Master PLO, Wolf said slowly, that's no asteroid. That's a ship. A city ship. And it's just floating there. Indeed. PLO Koon stepped closer to the viewport, his connection to the Force reaching out tentatively toward the new arrival. What he found disturbed him more than the sudden appearance itself, nothing. The Force flowed around the city ship like water around a stone, present but somehow, separate. Not blocked, not darkened by the Sith, but simply other. On the bridge of the Endurance, sensor officers worked frantically. I'm reading a structure approximately 4.7 kilometers at its widest point, one reported. Composition unknown, our scanners are getting interference. Energy readings are. Commander, the power output from that thing is orders of magnitude beyond anything in our database. Life signs? PLO Koon asked. Unclear, sir. The hull is blocking our sensors. Inside Atlantis, alarms screamed their own warning. Dr. Rodney McKay's fingers flew across the ancient console in the control room, his face illuminated by the soft blue glow of holographic displays. No, 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 and no, he shouted over the klaxons. This is not happening. Rodney, report. Lieutenant Colonel John Sheppard's voice cut through the chaos as he sprinted into the control room, his P-90 still slung across his chest from the battle they'd been fighting mere seconds ago, a battle that had been happening in an entirely different universe. We're not in Kansas anymore, Colonel, Rodney snapped, his hands never stopping their dance across the controls. That hyperspace jump, the Wraith weapon hit us mid-flight, and the dimensional instability, he broke off, staring at a readout that made no sense. We're not even in our own universe anymore. Tayla Emagon entered at a run, her Athosian combat instincts on full alert. The city is stable. Shields are holding. But where are we? Ronan Dex was already at the weapons console, his hand hovering over the drone chair activation. More importantly, who are they? He gestured to the main view screen, which now displayed the Venator-class Star Destroyer hanging in space barely a kilometer away. Sheppard's eyes narrowed. The ship was massive, wedge-shaped, and bristling with weapons. Its white hull was marked with red Republic symbols that meant nothing to him. Rodney, can we communicate with them? I'm trying. McKay's voice pitched higher with stress. But their communication frequencies are all wrong. It's like they're using some kind of primitive radio-based, wait, I'm getting something. Audio only. Static filled the control room, then cleared into a calm, measured voice speaking a language none of them recognized. The ancient translation systems kicked in a moment later, overlaying English words, unidentified vessel, this is Jedi Master PLO Koon of the Galactic Republic Navy. You have entered Coruscant orbital space without authorization. Power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded. Sheppard and Rodney exchanged glances. Galactic Republic. Tayla said quietly. We are not simply in another galaxy. We are in another reality entirely. Oh, it gets better, Rodney muttered, pulling up sensor data. According to these readings, we're in orbit around a planet-wide city. Population approximately 1 trillion sentient beings. And that ship out there? It's escorting us with what I can only describe as primitive but effective fusion-based weapons that could still probably punch through our shields if they concentrated fire. Ronan grunted. So we shoot first? No, Sheppard said firmly, though his hand rested on his sidearm. Not yet. Rodney, open a channel. Let's see if we can talk our way out of this before it becomes a shooting match. Assuming they're friendly, Rodney countered. Assuming nothing, Sheppard replied. But we're in their space, and we've got no idea how to get home. We need intel before we need enemies. He nodded to McKay. Open the channel. Rodney hesitated for only a moment before activating the communication system. This is Lieutenant Colonel John Sheppard of the Atlantis Expedition. We're not hostile. We've had a catastrophic malfunction. We're not even sure where we are. The response was immediate. Colonel Sheppard, I am Master PLO Koon. Your vessel appeared without warning in Republic space. Our sensors cannot penetrate your hull, and your energy signature is unlike anything in our databases. I must ask, what is your intention here? Sheppard glanced at his team, saw the same uncertainty reflected in their faces. In another universe, the Wraith were probably still attacking whatever remained of their reality. Here, they were surrounded by unknown ships, unknown technology, and unknown dangers. Our intention, Sheppard said carefully, is to figure out what the hell just happened to us and hopefully find a way home. In that order. There was a pause. When PLO Koon's voice returned, it carried a note of what might have been sympathy. Colonel, I believe we have much to discuss. I am requesting permission to come aboard your vessel. I will come unarmed, with only 2 clone troopers as escort. You have my word as a Jedi Master that no harm will come to you or your people during this meeting. Rodney muted the channel. Jedi? What's a Jedi? And why does he keep talking about clones like it's normal? Only one way to find out, Sheppard said. He unmuted the channel. Master PLO Koon, you're welcome aboard Atlantis. We'll transmit docking coordinates for our jumper bay. But I'm keeping our shields up until we know more about the neighborhood. A reasonable precaution, Colonel. I look forward to our meeting. The channel closed. In the silence that followed, Ronan checked his particle magnum. Tayla's hand drifted to her Banto's rods. Rodney pulled up defensive protocols on his tablet. And Sheppard stared out at the planet city below, wondering what kind of universe they just crashed into, and whether the Wraith were the least of their problems now. If you want to see more characters enter the Star Wars galaxy, hit that subscribe button and drop the name of a character you'd want to see in the comments below. May the Force be with you. Above Coruscant, the ancient city of Atlantis floated like a question mark written against the stars, and the Clone Wars would never be the same. The Jumper Bay of Atlantis had never been designed to receive guests who carried laser swords. Sheppard stood at the entrance to Bay 3, flanked by a full security team of Marines in tactical gear. Their P-90s were lowered but ready, fingers resting alongside trigger guards in a posture that was professional but unmistakably prepared. Behind them, Dr. Rodney McKay monitored the bay's sensors from a mobile tablet, his eyes darting between readouts and the incoming shuttle. "It's definitely not ancient technology," Rodney muttered. "The propulsion system is. I want to say repulsor lift-based. That shouldn't even work according to our physics, but here we are." He looked up at Sheppard. "Also, I'm reading biological signatures aboard. 3 of them. And one of them is giving off some kind of energy field I've never seen before." "Energy field?" Tayla asked from Sheppard's other side, her combat instincts immediately alert. "Low-level, pervasive. It's like background radiation, but organized. Structured." Rodney frowned. "I don't like things I can't explain." "Get in line," Ronan rumbled, his particle magnum held low but ready. The Republic shuttle settled onto the bay floor with mechanical precision. It was boxy, utilitarian, painted in the same white and red scheme as the massive warship still holding position outside. As the boarding ramp descended with a pneumatic hiss, Sheppard found himself unconsciously straightening, his military training kicking in. What emerged was not what he expected. The figure was tall, draped in dark robes that seemed to absorb light. A breathing mask covered the lower half of his face, and orange-tinted goggles protected eyes that swept across the bay with calm assessment. Behind him came 2 soldiers in white armor so complete it covered every centimeter of their bodies. Their rifles, sleek, deadly-looking things, were mag-locked to their backs, but both moved with the controlled readiness of professional soldiers. "Colonel Sheppard," the robed figure said, his voice carrying a resonant quality even through the breathing apparatus. He clasped his hands before him in what might have been a gesture of peace. "I am PLO Koon, Master of the Jedi Order and General of the Grand Army of the Republic. Thank you for receiving us." Sheppard stepped forward, extending a hand in Earth's traditional greeting. "Master PLO Koon. Welcome aboard Atlantis." He gestured to his team. "This is Dr. Rodney McKay, our chief scientist. Tayla Emagon, military specialist. And Ronan Dex, also military." PLO Koon regarded the extended hand for a moment before reaching out with a 3-fingered, clawed hand and clasping it. The grip was firm, controlled. "A gesture of greeting in your culture, I presume. It is honored." He released Sheppard's hand and gestured to the clone troopers. "These are Commander Wolf and Sergeant Sinker of the 104th Battalion." The clone troopers nodded in perfect synchronization. Up close, Sheppard could see that beneath their helmets' T-shaped visors, they were likely identical. The realization settled uncomfortably in his gut. Clones. Actual combat clones. "We have much to discuss," PLO Koon continued, his gaze sweeping across the bay's ancient architecture. "But first, I must ask, you claim to have arrived here through a malfunction. Can you elaborate?" Rodney stepped forward, unable to help himself. "We were engaged in combat in our home galaxy when we initiated a hyperspace jump, that's faster than light travel in our universe. We were struck by an energy weapon mid-transition, which destabilized our dimensional matrix and apparently punched a hole through to your reality. We've been trying to figure out where, and when, we are ever since. Koon was silent for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice carried what might have been concern. Your vessel travels between dimensions. Not intentionally, Sheppard interjected. Believe me, this wasn't the plan. We're just as confused as you are. I sense no deception in your words, Koon said slowly. The Force does not touch you as it does those native to this galaxy, but I sense your intentions are genuine. The Force? Tayla inquired, her voice carefully neutral. An energy field created by all living things, Koon explained. It surrounds us, penetrates us, binds the galaxy together. The Jedi are those trained to sense and channel the Force in service to peace and justice. Rodney's eyes widened. You're talking about a quantum field generated by biological organisms. He cut himself off, clearly wrestling with the implications. That's actually theoretically possible if midichlorian symbiosis creates he shook his head. Sorry. Science babble. Continue. But Koon had turned his attention to Rodney with sudden intensity. You know of midichlorians? I know of microscopic symbiotic organisms that can generate field effects, Rodney said carefully. Our sensors detected unusual biological signatures in this region of space. High concentrations of previously unknown microorganisms. I theorized they might be responsible for the energy interference we've been experiencing. Sheppard watched Koon's body language shift subtly. The Jedi Masters' hands, which had been relaxed, now clasped tighter. Behind him, Commander Wolf's hand drifted closer to his rifle, though he didn't draw it. Your sensors can detect midichlorians? Koon asked quietly. Among other things, Rodney replied, oblivious to the tension. Ancient, that's the civilization that built this city. Their technology operates on principles that make your quantum field, this force of yours, partially visible to our instruments. Though it's interfering with some of our systems. The zero-point modules that power Atlantis are experiencing efficiency losses of nearly 15% because of the dimensional incompatibility. Zero-point modules? Koon's tone remained calm, but Sheppard recognized the shift. They just revealed too much, too quickly. Our power source, Sheppard said, stepping in before Rodney could elaborate further. Master Koon, we've answered some questions. How about you answer some of ours? Starting with, what exactly is the Galactic Republic, and why does it need a grand army? Koon inclined his head, acknowledging the deflection. A fair exchange. The Galactic Republic is a democratic union of star systems spanning this galaxy. For over 1,000 years, it has maintained peace and prosperity. However, 3 years ago, a separatist movement emerged, led by former Jedi Count Dooku. The galaxy is now embroiled in what we call the Clone Wars, a conflict between the Republic and the Confederacy of independent systems. Clone Wars, Ronan repeated, his eyes on the two identical soldiers. You fight with clones? The Grand Army of the Republic consists of clone troopers, Koon confirmed. Grown from the genetic template of a legendary bounty hunter, bred and trained for combat. They are the finest soldiers in the galaxy. Sheppard felt a chill run down his spine. An entire army of manufactured soldiers. The ancients had built weapons, yes, but they'd never created people for war. How many? He heard himself ask. That information is classified, Commander Wolf interjected, speaking for the first time. His voice was identical to Sergeant Sinker's. Identical, Sheppard realized, to every other clone in that massive army. Sir, Wolf added, nodding to Koon. What the commander means, Koon said smoothly, is that Republic military strength is not information we share with unknown parties. You understand, I'm sure. Of course, Sheppard replied. Same way we're not going to give you detailed schematics of Atlantis or our weapon systems. A reasonable stance. PLO Koon turned, gesturing toward the bay's massive doors that led deeper into the city. Colonel, your city ship is extraordinary. The architecture alone suggests a civilization of immense advancement. Might I inquire as to your builders? The ancients, Taylor answered. A human civilization that existed millions of years ago in our reality. They ascended beyond physical form, leaving behind technology like Atlantis for those who came after. Ascended, PLO Koon repeated softly. Became one with the Force, perhaps. We have legends of such things. Maybe, Rodney said skeptically. Or maybe they uploaded their consciousness into a higher dimensional plane. Point is, they left this city and a lot of other toys behind. We've been using them to fight a war of our own. Against whom? The question hung in the air. Sheppard exchanged glances with his team. How much should they reveal? That the Wraith were life-draining monsters who fed on humans. That the Pegasus Galaxy was under constant siege by an enemy that saw humans as cattle. An enemy called the Wraith, Sheppard finally said. They're technologically advanced, numerous, and hostile to all human life. We've been holding them off for years, but it's been costly. PLO Koon's orange eyes studied Sheppard's face. You speak of them with the weight of experience. You have lost people to this enemy. It wasn't a question. Sheppard nodded once, sharply. Too many. Then we share common ground, PLO Koon said quietly. The Clone Wars have claimed countless lives. Republic, separatist, and civilian alike. War is never without cost. He paused. Which brings me to a difficult question, Colonel. What are your intentions now that you are here? Find a way home, Sheppard said immediately. We've got people depending on us back in our galaxy. But first we need to understand where, and when, we are. Figure out if there's even a way back. And if there is not. The question hit harder than Sheppard wanted to admit. Then we figure out how to survive here until we find one. Rodney cleared his throat. Actually, there's a more immediate problem. Our power reserves are finite. Those 0-point modules I mentioned. We've got 3, but one was damaged in the dimensional transition. The other 2 are draining faster than they should because of the Force interference. At current rates, we've got maybe 6 months before we're running on emergency power. And then? Wolf asked. And then we're sitting in a very large, very advanced city with no power, Rodney said bluntly. Life support fails, shields drop, and we become a very expensive paperweight. PLO Koon was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his words carried careful weight. The Republic has resources. Technology. Perhaps we could assist in exchange for information about your own capabilities. There it was. The offer Sheppard had been expecting. It sounded reasonable, even generous. But he'd spent enough time in the military and enough time dealing with alien civilizations to recognize a recruitment pitch when he heard one. That's a generous offer, Sheppard said neutrally. But we'd need to know more about your Republic before we commit to anything. No offense, but we've learned to be cautious about alliances with governments we've just met. Wise, PLO Koon acknowledged. Then perhaps a smaller gesture of cooperation. Allow me to bring your situation before the Jedi Council. They may have knowledge or resources that could aid your quest to return home. In exchange, you share what information you feel comfortable providing about your technology and your journey here. The Jedi Council, Taylor said. You serve them. The Jedi serve the Force and, through it, the Republic, PLO Koon explained. The Council consists of 12 Masters who guide the Jedi Order. They are wise, experienced, and have access to knowledge dating back millennia. If anyone in this galaxy can help you understand what happened and possibly reverse it, it would be them. Sheppard considered. Meeting this council meant revealing themselves to the Republic's leadership. But they needed information, needed allies, or at least people who weren't shooting at them. And if these Jedi really did have access to ancient knowledge? We'll agree to a meeting, Sheppard said. But Atlantis stays here, shields up, and we're not sharing anything that could be weaponized until we know who you people really are. Acceptable, Koon said. I will contact the Council immediately. In the meantime, Colonel, might I suggest you keep your vessel's defensive systems active? Coruscant is well defended, but your sudden appearance will not go unnoticed by all parties. The separatists have spies even here in the capital. Separatists, Ronan said. The ones you're fighting. They'd be interested in us. They would be interested in any new technology or potential ally, Koon confirmed. And a city ship that appeared from nowhere would be of considerable interest. I will arrange for Republic security to monitor your position, but I recommend vigilance. As if summoned by the warning, Rodney's tablet chimed urgently. Colonel? I'm picking up new contacts. Multiple ships just reverted from hyperspace at the edge of Coruscant's gravity well. They're broadcasting separatist IFF codes. Koon's hand moved to his belt, where a cylindrical object hung. Sheppard recognized it instantly from the Jedi's earlier description, a lightsaber. It seems, the Jedi Master said calmly, that the separatists have indeed noticed your arrival. And they are sending a diplomatic envoy of their own. Commander Wolf's voice was flat, professional. Sir, those aren't diplomatic ships. That's a separatist battle group. Through the bay's atmospheric shield, the stars wheeled. And among them, new lights appeared, the engine trails of ships approaching Atlantis with unknown intent. The Jedi Council chamber sat at the apex of the temple's central spire, a circular room of meditation and deliberation where the fate of the galaxy had been debated for millennia. 12 seats arranged in a circle, windows overlooking the endless cityscape of Coruscant, and at its heart, the Force itself seemed to flow stronger, clearer. Today, that clarity was clouded by uncertainty. Master Yoda sat in his hover chair, his ancient eyes closed in meditation. Around him, the council had assembled via hologram, Master Windu from the front lines near Ryloth, Master Ki-Adi-Mundi from Megiddo, and others scattered across the war-torn galaxy. Only a few were physically present, Master Shak-Ti, Master C.C. Tyan, and Master Koon, who had just returned from his encounter with the impossible city ship. Appeared from nowhere, it did, Yoda said softly, his ears drooping with contemplation. A disturbance in the Force, unlike any felt before. Not dark. Not light. Simply, other. Mace Windu's holographic form leaned forward, his expression stern. Master Koon, you spoke with their commander. What is your assessment? Koon stood at the center of the circle, his hands clasped before him. They are military, but not warriors in the way we understand. Explorers and scientists who have been forced into combat by necessity. Colonel Sheppard is cautious, intelligent, and protective of his people. He carries the weight of command and loss. And their technology? Ki-Adi-Mundi asked, his tall head tilting with interest. Beyond our current understanding in several key areas, Koon admitted. Their power generation alone surpasses our most advanced reactors. Dr. McKay mentioned the zero-point modules, devices that extract energy from what he called subspace. Their sensors can detect midichlorians, and their ship's shields withstood emergence from dimensional transit with minimal damage. A ripple of unease passed through the Force. Master Windu's frown deepened. A vessel that can detect midichlorians could identify Force sensitives. Track Jedi. Or hunt them. Or defend against them, Master C.C. Tyan added, his Itachi horns casting shadows across his face. If their technology predates the Force itself, or originates from a universe where it does not exist. Speculation, this is, Yoda interjected gently. Speak to what you know, Master Koon. Their intentions, clear to you, are they? Koon was silent for a moment, reaching into the Force for guidance. What he found was the same strange absence he'd felt aboard Atlantis, not a void, but a discontinuity. As if the Atlantis crew existed slightly out of phase with the galaxy itself. They wish only to return home, he said finally. But they are stranded, possibly permanently. And they are afraid, though they hide it well. Afraid of being trapped here. Afraid of what will happen when their power runs out. 6 months, you said, Windu stated. Before their reserves are depleted. According to Dr. McKay's calculations, yes. And when that happens, the city becomes vulnerable. Dead in space. Then they will need allies, Shak Ti observed, her head-tails shifting with her thoughtful movement. Resources. Protection. Which the Republic can provide, Ki-Adi-Mundi said. In exchange for access to their technology. The war effort could benefit tremendously from even a fraction of their capabilities. Use them, you would. Yoda's eyes opened, sharp and piercing. As tools for war. I would use any advantage to end this war faster and save lives, Ki-Adi-Mundi replied firmly. Every day the clone wars continue, thousands die. If this Atlantis can help us achieve victory, or make us dependent on technology we don't understand, Windu cut in. I share Master Yoda's concern. We know nothing about these people beyond what they've chosen to reveal. For all we know, they could be separatist agents using an elaborate cover story. I sensed no deception, PLO Koon said. The Force can be clouded, Windu countered. Especially by those who exist outside its normal flow. Before PLO Koon could respond, the chamber's communication console chimed. Master CC Tyan activated it, and the image of a clone naval officer appeared. Masters, forgive the interruption. We have a situation developing in Coruscant orbit. Speak, Windu commanded. A separatist battle group just emerged from hyperspace. 1 Recusant-class destroyer, 2 Munificent-class frigates, and a Providence-class carrier. They're broadcasting on diplomatic channels, requesting permission to approach the unidentified city ship. The council exchanged glances. Yoda's ears lifted slightly, never a good sign. Diplomatic channels, Windu repeated. The separatists don't send battle groups for diplomacy. They're claiming Count Dooku himself is aboard the Providence, the officer continued. He's requesting direct communication with the city ship's commanding officer. Aboard Atlantis, alarms screamed through the control room. For capital ships, all heavily armed, Rodney announced, his fingers flying across the ancient console. And they're not being subtle about it. Turbolaser batteries are charged, fighter bays are open, they want us to know they came ready for a fight. Sheppard stood at the operations center, Tayla and Ronan flanking him. On the view screen, the separatist ships hung in space like predators circling prey. They were angular, aggressive in design, painted in dark colors that seemed to absorb light. Master PLO Koon warned us, Tayla said quietly. The separatists would be interested in our arrival. Interested is one thing, Sheppard muttered. Showing up with a fleet is another. Rodney, how are our shields? Holding at 97%. I've rerouted power from non-essential systems to compensate for the ZPM efficiency loss. We could probably take a sustained bombardment from those ships for, 3, maybe 4 hours before shields collapse. That's not as comforting as you think it is, Sheppard said. It's more comforting than, we'll die immediately, which is what you'd get from most ships in this galaxy, Rodney shot back. Their weapons are powerful but crude. Plasma-based turbolasers, coherent energy packets traveling at sublight speeds. Deadly, yes, but predictable. Ronan grunted. Can we kill them if they attack? We've got drone weapons, Sheppard said. But limited ammunition. Maybe 100 drones left in inventory. I'd rather not waste them on our first day here. The communication console activated, and a new voice filled the control room. It was cultured, aristocratic, with an undercurrent of dark amusement. Greetings, mysterious travelers. I am Count Dooku, leader of the Confederacy of Independent Systems. I come in peace, seeking dialogue with those who have made such a dramatic entrance to our galaxy. Rodney muted the channel immediately. Oh, I don't like him. Did you hear that voice? That's the voice of someone who definitely has an evil goatee. Rodney, Sheppard warned. I'm just saying, in my experience, aristocratic voices plus mysterious arrivals equals, we're going to betray you later. It's a formula. Taylor leaned closer to the screen, studying the separatist ships. Colonel, the Jedi mentioned Count Dooku leads the opposition to this republic. If he is here personally, he must see us as either a significant opportunity or a significant threat. Probably both, Sheppard agreed. He unmuted the channel. Count Dooku, this is Lieutenant Colonel John Sheppard of the Atlantis Expedition. We appreciate the greeting, but we're not looking for alliances right now. We're just trying to figure out where we are. Of course, Dooku's voice oozed sympathy. A perfectly understandable position. But surely you must realize that appearing in orbit above Coruscant, the very heart of the Republic, sends a certain message. The Jedi Council will no doubt attempt to claim you as their own, to use your remarkable vessel in their war against freedom and independence. Sheppard's eyes narrowed. That sounds like propaganda, Count. A soft chuckle came through the speakers. Or truth, depending on one's perspective. Tell me, Colonel, has Master Plo Koon already visited you? Has he offered the Republic's assistance in exchange for access to your technology? The accuracy of the statement made Sheppard pause. Dooku continued, pressing his advantage. The Jedi speak of peace and justice, but they serve a corrupt republic that has grown stagnant and oppressive. The Confederacy seeks only the right of systems to govern themselves, free from Coruscant's tyranny. We would offer you something the Republic cannot, true freedom. The right to choose your own path. In exchange for what? Sheppard asked bluntly. Information, Dooku replied smoothly. A cultural exchange. Perhaps limited access to your fascinating technology in return for resources you will need to survive here. Unlike the Republic, we do not seek to control you. We seek partnership. Rodney pulled up tactical data on his tablet, his expression grim. Colonel, those ships just went to combat alert status. Shields are hardening, and I'm reading power spikes in their weapons systems. While making a peace offering, Ronan observed darkly. I don't trust him. Neither do I, Sheppard agreed. But he's got 4 warships and we're alone in an unfamiliar galaxy. We need to play this carefully. He activated the comm, Count Dooku, we're not interested in joining anyone's war. We're neutral parties who just want to go home. A noble sentiment, Dooku said. But neutrality is a luxury few can afford in times of war. The Republic will not allow a vessel of your power to remain uncommitted. They will pressure you, threaten you, perhaps even attempt to seize your city by force. The Jedi are not above such tactics when they deem it necessary. And the Confederacy is different? Sheppard challenged. We are pragmatic, Colonel. We understand that forcing cooperation breeds resentment and resistance. Far better to cultivate willing allies through mutual benefit. Before Sheppard could respond, a new alarm sounded. Rodney swore. Republic ships are moving. The Venator-class Star Destroyer and 2 Acclamator-class assault ships. They're positioning themselves between us and the Separatist fleet. On the view screen, the Republic vessels formed a defensive wall, their red-marked hulls gleaming in Coruscant's reflected light. A moment later, Plo Koon's voice came through on a separate channel. Colonel Sheppard, I apologize for the escalation. The Separatist battle group is in violation of Coruscant's defensive perimeter. Republic forces are moving to intercept. I strongly suggest you maintain your position and keep your shields raised. Sheppard felt the situation spiraling beyond his control. 2 fleets facing off with Atlantis caught in the middle. Master Koon, we don't want to be part of a shooting match. Nor do we wish to endanger you, Koon replied. But Count Dooku's presence here is a provocation. He knows Republic forces cannot allow separatist warships this close to the capital. Dooku's voice cut back in, smooth and unbothered. You see, Colonel. The Republic resorts to military intimidation. They cannot tolerate even the possibility that you might choose to ally with the Confederacy. Is this the freedom they offer? Dooku, Koon's voice carried warning. You are in violation of. I am in neutral space, Jedi, speaking with neutral parties. Or are you claiming sovereignty over all beings who enter this system? How very imperial of you. The tension crackled across the comm channels. Sheppard could feel it building toward violence, could see it in the way weapon systems on both fleets cycled to full power. Rodney, he said quietly, how fast can we move if we need to? The hyperdrive needs recalibration, but the sublight engines are functional. We could maneuver, maybe even jump to another system if we had navigation data. But Colonel, Rodney looked up from his console, genuine fear in his eyes. If shooting starts between these fleets, we're going to be right in the crossfire. Ancient shields or not, sustained bombardment from both sides would overwhelm our defenses in minutes. Teyla moved to Sheppard's side. We must de-escalate. Both factions see us as a prize to be claimed. If we appear to favor one over the other, the situation will deteriorate. She was right. Sheppard knew she was right. But how did you stay neutral when two armed camps were using you as the excuse for their standoff? All ships, this is Colonel Sheppard, he broadcast on all channels. Stand down. We're not choosing sides, we're not joining anyone's war, and we're definitely not worth starting a battle over. Count Dooku, we appreciate your offer, but we're declining. Master Koon, same goes for the Republic. We'll handle our own problems. Silence. For a long moment, nobody responded. Then Dooku spoke, his voice carrying dark amusement. A bold declaration, Colonel. But I wonder how long you can maintain such independence when your power runs out and you have nowhere to turn. The offer remains open. When you realize the Republic cannot be trusted, the Confederacy will welcome you. The separatist ships began to pull back, their engines flaring as they retreated to the edge of Coruscant's gravity well. But they didn't jump to hyperspace. They simply hung there, watching. Koon's voice was quieter, more measured. Colonel, you have made your position clear. The Republic will respect it. But please, reconsider meeting with the Jedi Council. We may be able to help you in ways that do not require choosing sides in our conflict. Sheppard looked at his team. Ronan's hand rested on his weapon, ready for violence that hadn't come. Teyla's expression was thoughtful, calculating. Rodney was pale, staring at sensor data that showed two fleets still at combat readiness. We'll consider it, Sheppard said finally. But we're going to need some time to think. And some space. Both sides need to back off before we'll even think about talking to anyone. Understood, Koon replied. Republic forces will maintain a respectful distance. But Colonel. A word of caution. Count Dooku is powerful, cunning, and absolutely committed to the destruction of the Republic. Whatever he offered you, there will be a price. There always is. The channel closed. Sheppard stood in the sudden silence of the control room, watching both fleets hold their positions around Atlantis like wolves circling a wounded animal. So, Rodney said into the quiet, that went well. We've bought ourselves time, Teyla said. But not much. Both factions now know we exist, know we are powerful, and know we are vulnerable. They will not remain patient forever. Ronan crossed his arms. Then we need to figure out how to get home. Fast. Sheppard nodded, his mind already racing through possibilities. They needed information about this galaxy, about the technology here, about whether dimensional travel was even possible. They needed allies they could trust, if such a thing existed in a galaxy at war. And they needed to do it all before their power ran out and Atlantis became just another prize for whoever was willing to take it by force. "Rodney," he said, "start analyzing our sensor data. I want to know everything you can figure out about this galaxy's technology, their hyperspace physics, anything that might give us a clue about how we got here." "Already on it," Rodney replied, his fingers dancing across the console. "Tayla, Ronan, I want security protocols updated. We're in hostile territory now, and I don't care how friendly either side claims to be. Nobody boards this city without our explicit permission." They nodded, already moving to carry out his orders. Sheppard turned back to the viewscreen, watching the Republic and Separatist fleets maintain their uneasy standoff. Somewhere out there, in a galaxy far from home, the Wraith were probably still attacking. Earth was still depending on them. And Atlantis. Atlantis was trapped in someone else's war. "Welcome to the Clone Wars," he muttered to himself. "This is going to suck." Count Dooku stood in the meditation chamber of his Providence-class carrier, hands clasped behind his back, staring out at the gleaming city ship that hung in space like a jewel among stars. The curved saber at his belt hummed softly with dark side energy, responding to his contemplation. Behind him, the holographic form of his master flickered into existence. Hooded, shadowed, radiating power that made the air itself seem to bend. "Master," Dooku said, bowing his head respectfully. "You have seen it, then." Darth Sidious's voice was a serpentine whisper. "This anomaly. I have. And it is everything our spies reported and more." Dooku turned to face the hologram. "A city ship from another universe, Master. Technology that predates anything in our galaxy. Their leader claims they wish only to return home, but their very presence here disrupts the careful balance we have cultivated. The Jedi Council will seek to claim them," Sidious mused. "To use their technology against the Confederacy. We cannot allow this." "Agreed. But there is complexity." Dooku's aristocratic features tightened with thought. "I reached out through the Force, attempting to sense their intentions. And I felt nothing. Not darkness, not light. Simply an absence, as if they exist in a space the Force cannot touch. Impossible." The word carried absolute certainty. The Force is in all things. And yet, Dooku insisted gently, these beings exist outside it. Their ship, their technology, it operates on principles entirely foreign to the Force. Dr. McKay, their scientist, spoke of zero-point modules and dimensional matrices. Terms that mean nothing to us, yet represent power that could reshape this war. Sidious was silent for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice carried dark calculation. "Then they are either the greatest weapon we could claim, or the greatest threat to the grand plan. You will determine which, my apprentice. Use whatever means necessary to secure their cooperation or ensure their destruction. The Jedi will oppose any overt move against them. Let them. The war serves us whether the Jedi win small victories or not. But this Atlantis," Sidious leaned forward, his shadowed face intense even through the hologram. "This represents something new. Something unpredicted. And I do not tolerate unpredictability in my designs. What would you have me do, Master? Offer them what the Republic cannot. Freedom. Resources. Protection from Jedi manipulation. And if they refuse," Sidious's lips curved into something that might have been a smile. "Then we ensure no one else can have them. A city ship is only valuable if it can be controlled. If it cannot, it becomes a liability to be eliminated." Dooku bowed. "It shall be as you command." The hologram flickered out, leaving Dooku alone with his thoughts. He reached out with the Force again, probing toward Atlantis, and once more felt that strange void. Not the darkness of Sith corruption or the light of Jedi devotion. Simply, otherness. It disturbed him more than he cared to admit. In the Jedi Temple, Master Yoda sat alone in his meditation chamber, his ancient eyes closed, his breathing slow and measured. Around him, the Force swirled in familiar patterns, connecting him to the living galaxy in ways he had experienced for 900 years. But when he reached toward Atlantis, those patterns broke. It was like touching water and finding it suddenly solid. Or reaching for air and grasping stone. The city ship existed, undeniably real, but the Force slid around it like oil on water, unable to penetrate, unable to connect. Disturbing, this was. A knock at the door pulled him from meditation. "Enter, you may." Mace Windu stepped in, his expression grave. "Master Yoda. I've just received a report from Republic intelligence. The separatists are mobilizing forces in the Outer Rim. 3 additional fleets are being redirected toward Coruscant space. For the city ship, you believe. What else could it be? Dooku wouldn't risk a direct assault on Coruscant unless he thought the prize was worth it." Windu's jaw tightened. And if he's bringing that kind of firepower, he's not planning to negotiate. Yoda's ears drooped. Force them to choose, he will. Join the Confederacy or face destruction. "We can't allow that," Windu said firmly. "Technology like theirs in separatist hands could tip the entire war. We need to bring them under Republic protection before Dooku makes his move." "Protection," Yoda repeated softly. "Or control." Windu met his gaze. "Is there a difference when the alternative is separatist enslavement or annihilation? Ask themselves that question, they must. Not decided for them by us." "Master Yoda, with respect, we don't have time for philosophical debates. Colonel Sheppard and his people are stranded, vulnerable, and sitting on technology that could save millions of Republic lives. If we don't act. Act we shall," Yoda interrupted gently. "But with wisdom, not desperation. Trust must be earned, not demanded. Help them we will. But claim them as weapons, we must not." Windu was silent for a moment. "And if they choose the separatists? Then fail to earn their trust, we have. And face the consequences, we must." Atlantis's conference room had been designed for diplomatic meetings between the Atlantis Expedition and various Pegasus Galaxy civilizations. Today, it hosted a very different kind of negotiation. Sheppard sat at the head of the table, flanked by his core team. Across from them sat Dr. Elizabeth were via holographic transmission from the Daedalus-class ship that had been en route to Atlantis when the dimensional jump occurred, and had mercifully made the transition with them. Her image flickered slightly, the hologram struggling with the new universe's different quantum baseline. "Let me make sure I understand," Weir said, her diplomat's voice tight with stress. "We're stranded in an alternate universe. We're caught between 2 galactic superpowers at war with each other. Both sides want our technology. And we have 6 months of power before Atlantis goes dark." "That's the situation," Sheppard confirmed. "And our options?" Rodney pulled up a holographic display showing their tactical situation. "Option 1, we ally with the Republic. They've got resources, infrastructure, and they seem to be the good guys in this conflict, inasmuch as there are good guys in a war fought with clone armies. They might be able to help us research a way home. In exchange for our technology, we're noted. Almost certainly. The Jedi Council wants to meet with us." Master Plo Koon seemed genuine, but he's also a general in their army. They'll want something in return. Option 2. We're asked. "We ally with the separatists," Tala said. "Count Dooku offered us freedom and resources without the Republic's oversight. But his reputation, even in the brief time we've been here, suggests he is not to be trusted." "He's definitely evil," Rodney interjected. "I'm calling it now. Evil aristocrat voice, dramatic entrance, the whole package. Option 3, Ronan said, we fight both of them and take what we need. Sheppard shook his head. We don't have the firepower for that. Maybe if we had a full drone weapon complement, but with only 100 left. We'd last a few battles at best before we were defenseless. Which brings us to option 4, Weir said quietly. We remain neutral. Refuse both sides and try to solve this ourselves. That's what I told them we'd do, Sheppard said. But I don't know how long we can maintain that position. Dooku's already bringing in reinforcements. The Republic will respond in kind. Eventually, one side or the other is going to force the issue. Weir was silent, her holographic form perfectly still as she processed. Finally, she spoke with the measured authority that had guided them through countless diplomatic crises. Our first priority is getting home. Everything else is secondary. But we need information to do that, and we need allies who can provide it without compromising our principles. The Jedi might be our best option for that, Sheppard admitted. Master Koon mentioned the Council has access to ancient knowledge going back millennia. If anyone in this galaxy knows about dimensional travel or has records of similar incidents, it would be them. We're finished. All right. Here's what we'll do. John, you'll accept the Jedi Council's invitation. Take Teyla and Ronan with you. Rodney stays on Atlantis to continue analyzing our situation and maintaining our defenses. I object to being left behind, Rodney said immediately. You're the only one who can keep our systems running at peak efficiency, Weir countered. And if something goes wrong, you're our best chance of getting the others back safely. This isn't negotiable, Rodney. Rodney subsided, muttering under his breath. While you're meeting with the Council, Weir continued, I'll have Colonel Caldwell and the Deadless maintain a defensive perimeter. If either the Republic or Separatists make a move against Atlantis, we'll be ready. What about the Genii? Teyla asked. Or the other Pegasus allies who made the jump with us? It was a good question. The dimensional rift had caught not just Atlantis and Deadless, but several allied vessels that had been in proximity. They were all now scattered across this new galaxy, trying to make sense of their situation. For now, they'll maintain their current positions, Weir decided. We can't afford to look like we're massing forces. That would provoke exactly the kind of response we're trying to avoid. Sheppard nodded. When do we meet with the Council? I'll contact Master Koon and arrange it, Weir said. But John, be careful. We don't know these people. We don't know their true intentions. And we definitely don't know what they're capable of. Story of our lives, Sheppard replied with a slight smile. 6 hours later, Sheppard found himself standing in a puddle jumper, Atlantis's small, versatile spacecraft, descending through Coruscant's atmosphere toward the Jedi Temple. Beside him, Teyla and Ronan stood in full combat gear, their weapons present but not drawn. A gesture of respect, but also a reminder that they were not helpless guests. The temple rose before them like a ziggurat of light and ancient stone, its 5 spires reaching toward the sky. At its apex, the council chamber glowed softly in the fading daylight. Sheppard had seen impressive structures before, ancient cities, Wraith hive ships, even Earth's own monuments, but there was something different about the temple. Something that spoke of age and purpose and accumulated wisdom. It is beautiful, Teyla observed softly. It's a fortress, Ronan countered, his warriors cataloging defensive positions and fields of fire. Dressed up nice, but still a fortress. Can it be both? Sheppard asked. The jumper set down in a designated landing area where several Jedi waited, Koon among them, along with a Togruta female with distinctive head tails and a severe-looking human male with a purple lightsaber at his belt. As the jumper's rear hatch lowered, Sheppard took a breath and stepped out into the Clone Wars. Koon inclined his head in greeting. Colonel Sheppard. Welcome to the Jedi Temple. May I introduce Master Shaak Ti and Master Mace Windu of the Jedi Council. Windu's eyes were sharp, assessing. Colonel. Your arrival has created quite a stir in the Republic. That wasn't our intention, Sheppard replied evenly. Nevertheless, Windu continued, you are here. And the Council would speak with you about what that means for both our peoples. Shaak Ti's expression was gentler. Please, follow us. The Council is eager to meet those who have traveled so far in such an extraordinary manner. They walked through corridors lined with ancient tapestries and holocrons, past meditation gardens where young Padawans practiced with training sabers, through halls that hummed with the presence of the Force. Sheppard felt none of it, whatever this Force was, it didn't touch him or his team, but he could see it in the way the Jedi moved, the way they seemed to exist in perfect harmony with their surroundings. It was both beautiful and unsettling. Finally, they reached the council chamber. The doors opened, revealing the circular room with its 12 seats. Some were occupied by physical forms. Others by holograms of Jedi scattered across the galaxy. And in one seat, small and ancient, sat Master Yoda. The diminutive Jedi's eyes opened as Sheppard entered, and for a moment, Sheppard could have sworn he felt something, a gentle pressure, like someone trying to read his thoughts but being unable to find purchase. Welcome, Colonel Sheppard, Yoda said, his voice carrying surprising weight for such a small being. From far away, you have come. Far away indeed. Sheppard stepped forward, Tala and Ronan flanking him. Master Yoda. Thank you for seeing us. Questions, we have, Yoda continued. And answers, you seek. Perhaps help each other, we can. If trust, we can build. Mace Windu took his seat, his expression still stern. Let's start with the basics, Colonel. You claim to be from another universe. Can you prove it? Sheppard gestured to Tala, who produced a data pad. Our scientist, Dr. McKay, prepared this analysis. It shows the fundamental differences between our universe's physical laws and yours. Quantum baseline variations, dimensional frequency mismatches, hyperspace topology incompatibilities. He says it's definitive proof that we're not from this reality. Ki-Adi-Mundi leaned forward, studying the data. Fascinating. And disturbing. If dimensional barriers can be breached, even accidentally. The implications are profound, Shaak Ti agreed. What we want to know, Sheppard said, is whether you've ever encountered anything like this before. Records of dimensional travel, ancient texts about other universes, anything that might help us understand how to get back. The council members exchanged glances. Finally, Yoda spoke. In our archives, ancient legends there are. Stories of the world between worlds, where all times and places converge. Of the Force existing beyond our galaxy, beyond our dimension perhaps. But legends only, they are. Proof, we have never found. Until now, Windu said, his gaze fixed on Sheppard. You are proof that the impossible is possible. Which raises the question, what else might be possible? And what dangers might follow you through the barriers between worlds? It was a fair question. A terrifying question. We were fighting the Wraith when we made the jump, Sheppard admitted. It's possible they were affected too. It's possible they're here, somewhere in your galaxy. The temperature in the room seemed to drop. Tell us about these Wraith, PLO Koon requested quietly. And so Sheppard did. He told them about the life-draining monsters, about the culling of human worlds, about the desperate war that had consumed the Pegasus Galaxy for generations. He showed them tactical data, images of hive ships and Wraith warriors. When he finished, the council sat in stunned silence. A species that feeds on life itself, Shaak Ti whispered. Such a thing is an abomination, Windu finished. And if they're here, in our galaxy, they represent a threat beyond the separatists, beyond even the war itself. We don't know if they made the jump, Tala interjected. It is possible we left them behind. But we cannot be certain. Yoda's ears were flat against his head. Grave news, this is. Graver than you know. For if life-draining beings exist in this galaxy, the dark side they would serve. Willing or not, servants of darkness, they would be. Which is why we need to find a way home, Sheppard said firmly. To warn our galaxy if the Wraith are here, and to continue our fight if they're not. Either way, we don't belong in your war. And yet, Windu said softly, war may find you regardless. Count Dooku will not simply let you leave. He will claim you or destroy you. The Republic must protect you. We can protect ourselves, Ronan growled. Can you? Windu challenged. Against the entire Separatist navy? Against Sith Lords and their dark side powers? We've faced worse, Sheppard said. But even as the words left his mouth, he wondered if they were true. They'd fought the Wraith, yes. But the Wraith were a known enemy. These Sith, this dark side of the Force, that was something else entirely. Yoda rose from his seat, his small form seeming to grow with the weight of his presence. Help you, we will. Search our archives. Consult with the most learned masters. A way home, we will seek to find. But in return. Here it comes, Sheppard thought. Ask for nothing, we do. Except that if the Wraith are here, work together, we must. To protect this galaxy from that darkness. It was not what Sheppard expected. No demands for technology. No insistence on alliance. Just a simple request for cooperation against a mutual threat. Maybe these Jedi were different after all. If the Wraith are here, Sheppard said carefully, we'll help you stop them. That's not negotiable. But we're not joining your war against the Separatists. We don't know enough about this conflict to choose sides. A wise stance, Yoda said, nodding. Wisdom, you show. Trust, you earn. Time, we will need. But time, we may not have. As if summoned by his words, a holographic display activated in the center of the chamber. A clone officer appeared, his expression urgent. Masters, forgive the intrusion. We have a situation. Multiple separatist fleets are converging on Coruscant space. Count Dooku is broadcasting on all Republic channels. He's issued an ultimatum. Windu stood. What ultimatum? He demands the city ship Atlantis surrender to Confederacy authority within 6 standard hours. If they refuse, he will destroy them and anyone who stands in his way. The chamber fell silent. Then Yoda spoke, his voice heavy with the weight of coming war. Begun, the siege has. Rodney McKay's hands trembled slightly as he stared at the tactical display in Atlantis's control room. What had been 4 separatist ships 6 hours ago was now a fleet of 23. Recusant-class destroyers, Munificent-class frigates, Providence-class carriers, all arranged in a blockade formation that encircled Coruscant's orbital space like a noose. This is bad, he muttered. This is very, very bad. How bad? Colonel Caldwell's gruff voice came through the comm from the Daedalus, which had taken up position directly above Atlantis. Bad as in, we're about to be in the middle of the largest space battle this galaxy has seen in years. Bad, Rodney replied. The Republic is mobilizing too. I'm counting, 37 capital ships moving into defensive positions. Venator-class star destroyers, Acclamator-class assault ships, and at least a dozen smaller cruisers. They're treating this like an invasion. Because it is, Caldwell said flatly. Dooku just declared war on anyone protecting us. That makes this our problem. I'm aware. Rodney snapped, his stress levels climbing. Which is why I'm trying to figure out how to keep us alive when the shooting starts. Our shields can handle sustained fire from maybe 6 or 7 of those ships simultaneously. Not 23. And definitely not when the Republic starts adding their own fire into the mix if they think we're siding with the Separatists. On the main view screen, Count Dooku's aristocratic face appeared, broadcast across every channel in Coruscant space. His silver beard was immaculately groomed, his expression one of practiced sympathy. "People of the Republic," he began, his voice resonant with false compassion. "For too long, you have suffered under the corruption of the Senate, under the manipulation of the Jedi. Today, I offer liberation to those aboard the vessel Atlantis. Freedom from Republic tyranny, the right to choose their own destiny." "Oh, please," Rodney muttered. "Could you be more obviously evil?" "But the Jedi Council," Dooku continued, his tone hardening, "seeks to claim these travelers as weapons. To force them into service against free systems seeking only independence. I cannot allow this injustice. Therefore, I give the Atlantis Expedition one choice. Accept Confederacy protection, or face the consequences of aligning with a corrupt and dying republic." The transmission cut off. In the silence that followed, Rodney became acutely aware of how alone they were. Sheppard was still at the Jedi Temple. Weir was coordinating from the Deadless. And he was here, responsible for a city full of civilians and scientists who had no idea they'd become the flashpoint for a galactic war. "Dr. McKay." The voice was familiar. "Major Lorne, head of Atlantis Security. We've got Marines stationed at every critical junction. Drone chair is manned and ready. Shield generators are operating at maximum efficiency. But sir, if they all open fire at once, we die," Rodney finished bluntly. "I know. Which is why we're not going to let it get that far." He pulled up a communication interface. "I need to talk to Colonel Sheppard. Now." In the Jedi Temple, Sheppard's radio crackled to life just as the council meeting devolved into strategic debate. "Colonel, it's Rodney. We have a situation." Sheppard stepped away from the arguing Jedi Masters, pressing his finger to his earpiece. "Let me guess. Dooku's making his move. 23 separatist warships, 6-hour ultimatum, and the Republic is mobilizing their entire defensive fleet. We're about to be ground zero for a battle that'll make the siege of Atlantis look like a bar fight." Sheppard closed his eyes briefly. "Options? We could run. The hyperdrive is calibrated enough for a short jump. But we don't have navigation data for this galaxy. We could end up jumping into a star or a black hole or worse." "Define worse." "There are things called hyperspace anomalies in this universe, regions where hyperspace and real space overlap. Jumping blind could trap us in one. Or scatter us across the galaxy in pieces. The margin of error is unacceptable. So running is out. Running blind is out. If we had time to analyze Republic navigation charts, maybe we could plot a safe course. But Dooku's not giving us time." Sheppard turned back to the council chamber, where Mace Windu was arguing forcefully with Ki-Adi-Mundi about defensive strategies. "What about fighting? Against 23 capital ships?" Rodney's voice pitched higher. "We'd last maybe 30 minutes before shields collapsed. And that's assuming the Republic doesn't decide we're hostile and start shooting too. Third option. We negotiate. Stall. Buy time for you to get back here and for us to figure out a real plan." It was the only option that didn't end in immediate disaster. Sheppard hated it. "All right. I'm heading back now. Don't do anything stupid until I get there." Define stupid. Rodney. "Fine. No stupidity. But Colonel, you should know, Dr. Weir is advocating for accepting Republic protection. Caldwell agrees with her. They think it's our best chance. And you?" Rodney was silent for a moment. "I think we're damned either way. But at least with the Jedi, we might get access to their archives. Might find something about dimensional travel. With Dooku, we get slavery disguised as alliance and a front-row seat to galactic tyranny." "Glad to see you've picked a side," Sheppard said dryly. "I've picked the not dying side. Everything else is details. The comm clicked off. Sheppard turned to find Master Koon standing behind him, his orange eyes unreadable behind the goggles. Your city is under siege, the Jedi Master observed. And you are here, far from your command. I need to get back, Sheppard said. Now. The temple has shuttles, Koon offered. But Colonel, you should know what you're flying into. Count Dooku is not merely posturing. He is a Sith Lord, a master of the dark side of the Force. His power is immense, and his will is absolute. If he has decided to claim Atlantis, he will not stop until he succeeds or is destroyed. Then I guess we'll have to destroy him. Koon's breathing apparatus hissed softly. Spoken like a warrior. But Dooku is not simply a warrior. He is a former Jedi, trained by Master Yoda himself. He knows our tactics, our weaknesses. And the dark side has made him stronger than he ever was in the light. Master Koon. Yoda's voice cut through the chamber. The ancient Jedi approached, his jimmer stick tapping against the floor. Return to his people, Colonel Sheppard must. And protection, we must provide. Wolf's fleet, dispatch immediately. Mace Windu stepped forward. Master Yoda, if we commit forces to defend Atlantis, we're making a statement. The separatists will see it as the Republic claiming them as allies. Already made that statement, Dooku has, Yoda replied. Choose we did not. Choose for us, he has. Protect innocent travelers, we must. Or stand by while destroyed they are. Windu's jaw tightened, but he nodded. I'll inform the Senate. They won't like it. Like it, I do not either, Yoda said softly. But right, it is. Sheppard felt something shift in the room, a sense of inevitability, as if the future had just locked into a predetermined path. I don't want to drag you into a battle on our account. Already in the battle, we are, Yoda said, meeting Sheppard's eyes with ancient wisdom. Since the Clone Wars began. One more front, this is. But perhaps important, this front will be. The puddle jumper screamed through Coruscant's atmosphere at maximum speed, its ancient engines pushing well beyond Republic safety regulations. In the pilot's seat, Sheppard flew with the precision of someone who'd navigated far worse than traffic control warnings. Beside him, Tala monitored the tactical situation. The separatist fleet is tightening their formation. They are preparing for combat. Let them prepare, Ronan growled from the rear compartment. We'll show them what ancient weapons can do. We've got 100 drones, Ronan, Sheppard reminded him. That's not going to be enough. Then we make each one count. The jumper broke through the upper atmosphere into orbital space, and Sheppard's breath caught. The separatist blockade had grown even larger, 30 ships now, arranged in concentric rings around the planet. At their center, Count Dooku's Providence-class carrier loomed like a dark monument. And between that carrier and Atlantis, a line of Republic Star destroyers had formed a defensive wall. Oh, this is bad, Sheppard muttered, echoing Rodney's earlier assessment. Tala pointed to a squadron of Republic fighters, sleek V-wings and ARC 170s, forming escort positions around the jumper. It seems the Jedi are making good on their promise of protection. A voice crackled over the calm, Atlantis jumper, this is Commander Wolf. Master Koon has ordered the 104th to provide defensive support for your city ship. We're forming up now. Through the viewport, Sheppard watched as Venator-class star destroyers moved into position, their red-marked hulls gleaming in Coruscant's reflected light. Behind them, smaller cruisers deployed in support formations. It was an impressive display of military coordination. It was also a declaration of war. Commander Wolf, this is Sheppard. Tell your people to hold fire unless fired upon. We don't want to start this fight. Copy that, Colonel. But if Dooku's fleet opens up, we're not going to just sit here and take it. Fair enough. Sheppard guided the jumper toward Atlantis, slipping through the Republic defensive line. As he approached the city ship, he could see the shield shimmering with power, drone weapons ports open and ready, ancient sensors tracking every ship in orbit. The jumper settled into its bay, and Sheppard was running before the hatch fully opened. He sprinted through the corridors toward the control room, Tayla and Ronan at his heels. He burst into the control room to find organized chaos. Rodney was at the primary console, his fingers flying across holographic displays. Dr. Ware stood at the secondary station, coordinating with Caldwell on the Deadless. Major Lorne monitored defensive systems while a dozen technicians managed power distribution. "Report," Sheppard demanded. "Dooku's ultimatum expires in 47 minutes, Rodney said without looking up. "The Separatist fleet has weapons charged and shields at maximum. The Republic has deployed 17 capital ships in defensive positions around us. We're literally sitting in the middle of a powder keg, and someone's about to light a match." Ware turned to face Sheppard, her expression grave. "John, we need to make a decision. The Republic is offering full protection and access to their research facilities. It's our best chance to find a way home." "And the cost?" "Cooperation," she said carefully. "They want information about our technology. Not schematics, not weapons, just theoretical principles. They think it might help them end the war faster. They want to use us," Sheppard said flatly. "They want to help us," Ware corrected. "There's a difference." "Is there?" Ronan challenged. "Sounds like the same thing with prettier words." Before Ware could respond, the tactical display lit up with new contacts. Rodney swore. "Dooku's fleet is moving. All ships advancing to engagement range. Time to ultimatum expiration?" Sheppard asked. 43 minutes. "They're jumping the gun." On the view screen, Count Dooku's face appeared once more. But this time, his expression held no false sympathy. Only cold determination. "Colonel Sheppard. I had hoped you would see reason. The Republic is a dying institution, and allying with them will only drag you down with them. But I see the Jedi have poisoned you against the Confederacy with their lies and manipulations." "Actually," Sheppard replied, activating the return transmission, "I haven't allied with anyone. I told you that. And yet Republic warships defend your position. Their fighters escort your vessels. You have chosen, Colonel, whether you admit it or not. The only thing I've chosen is not to surrender to threats." Dooku's expression didn't change, but something dark flickered in his eyes. "Then you have chosen poorly. I gave you a chance for peaceful cooperation. You have rejected it. What happens next is on your hands." The transmission cut off. Rodney's console erupted in alarms. "Separatist fleet is opening fire. Turbolaser batteries activating across all ships." But the fire wasn't directed at Atlantis. It was aimed at the Republic defensive line. Green and red bolts of coherent plasma streaked across the void, slamming into the shields of the nearest Venator-class Star Destroyer. The Republic ship's shields flared brilliant blue, holding against the initial barrage. Then it returned fire, its own turbolasers lighting up the darkness. Within seconds, the space around Atlantis transformed into a battlefield. "Get us deeper behind the Republic line," Sheppard ordered. "Rodney, keep those shields at maximum." "Already on it," Rodney shouted back. The city ship's engines, massive ancient drives designed to move continents of metal through hyperspace, thrummed to life. Atlantis began to maneuver, its movements surprisingly graceful for something so large. A Munificent-class frigate broke through the Republic line, its ion cannons tracking toward Atlantis. Before Sheppard could give the order, Major Lorne activated the drone weapons. Golden darts of ancient technology launched from Atlantis's weapons ports, their targeting systems locked onto the frigate. The drones moved with impossible agility, weaving through defensive fire, adjusting course mid-flight with thought-controlled precision. They struck the frigate's bridge with devastating effect. The ancient weapons punched through shields like they weren't there, tore through hull plating designed to withstand turbolasers, and detonated inside the ship's command center. The frigate's forward section exploded in a brilliant flash. The ship tumbled away, trailing atmosphere and debris. Direct hit, Lorne reported. Enemy vessel destroyed. In the silence that followed, Sheppard realized what they'd just done. They'd killed potentially hundreds of beings. Beings from this galaxy, in this galaxy's war. They'd chosen a side whether they meant to or not. Dooku's flagship is moving, Tala announced, breaking the moment. It's accelerating toward our position. On the screen, the massive Providence-class carrier pushed through the battle, its weapons blazing. But it wasn't firing at Atlantis. It was carving a path through the Republic defenders, heading straight for them with singular purpose. "He's coming for us personally," were said quietly. Rodney pulled up energy readings on his console, and his face went pale. "Colonel, I'm reading a massive force signature emanating from that ship. It's like nothing I've measured before. The energy is organized, directed, powerful." "That's Count Dooku," Sheppard said. "A Sith Lord." "A what?" "Space wizard. Evil version. Trained in something called the dark side of the Force." "Oh, wonderful," Rodney said faintly. Because fighting a massive fleet wasn't enough. Now we've got evil space wizards. The Providence carrier broke through the Republic line, 3 Venator-class destroyers moving to intercept. But Dooku's ship was faster, more maneuverable than something that size should be. It rolled, presenting minimal profile to enemy fire while its own turbolasers devastated the pursuing Republic ships. "He's going to reach us," Tala said. "Rodney, can our shields hold against his ship's weapons?" Sheppard asked. "For a while, yes. But Colonel, that's not what I'm worried about." Rodney pointed to the energy signature on his display. "That force signature is growing stronger. He's doing something, preparing some kind of attack that our sensors can barely register." Master Plo Koon said Dooku was powerful, Sheppard remembered. "One of the strongest Sith Lords. And he's coming straight for us." The Providence carrier was 5 kilometers away now. 4. 3. Then it stopped, hanging in space directly in front of Atlantis's main shield facing. For a moment, nothing happened. Then Sheppard felt it, a pressure, like the air before a storm. Not physical, but something deeper. Something that reached past the shield, past the hull, toward the people inside. "What is that?" Rodney demanded, his voice tight with fear. "The Force," Sheppard said. "He's using the Force." And in that moment, Count Dooku's voice echoed through the control room. Not over the comm, but somehow inside their minds. "You possess technology beyond comprehension. Power that could reshape the galaxy. And you waste it protecting a corrupt republic. How disappointing." The pressure intensified. Sheppard felt his thoughts being probed, examined, as if invisible fingers were rifling through his memories. He tried to resist, but there was nothing to push back against. "Your shields protect your city," Dooku's voice continued, echoing with dark amusement. "But they cannot protect your minds. I can feel your fear, your uncertainty, your doubt. You know the Republic cannot be trusted. You know they will use you and discard you when convenient. Get out of our heads." Rodney shouted, grabbing his skull. "Fascinating. You resist, but you cannot truly defend against that which you do not understand. The Force is beyond your science, beyond your ancient technology. It simply is." Sheppard gritted his teeth, focusing on anything but the invasive presence. He thought of Earth, of Atlantis, of the mission. He would not give this Sith Lord anything. Such determination, Dooku mused. Perhaps there is strength in you after all. Very well. If you will not join willingly, I will take what I need by force. The pressure vanished suddenly, leaving Sheppard gasping. Around the control room, technicians slumped in their seats, recovering from the mental assault. That, Rodney panted, was absolutely terrifying. Agreed, Weir said shakily. Incoming transmission, a technician reported. From Master PLO Koon. The Jedi Master's face appeared on the screen. Colonel Sheppard, Count Dooku is preparing to board your vessel. He intends to take it by force. You must allow me and a Jedi strike team aboard to defend against him. Your weapons cannot stop a Sith Lord. Sheppard looked at his team. At Weir's worried expression. At Rodney's barely controlled panic. At Ronan's readiness for violence and Taylor's calm assessment. They were in a war they didn't understand, facing an enemy who could attack their very thoughts, defending a city they couldn't power forever. And the only people offering help were Jedi who wanted something in return. Do it, Sheppard said. Get your strike team aboard. But Master PLO Koon, this doesn't mean we're joining your republic. This just means we're not dying today. Understood, Colonel. And thank you for trusting us. The transmission ended. Sheppard turned to his team. Battle stations. This is going to get worse before it gets better. Outside, the space battle raged. And Count Dooku's ship moved closer, a predator closing in for the kill. General Grievous stood on the bridge of his Recusant-class destroyer, his mechanical body perfectly still as he observed the battle through cold, calculating optical sensors. The cyborg general was not given to emotion, his organic brain had long since learned to suppress such weaknesses. But if he were capable of satisfaction, he would have felt it now. The Republic fleet was in disarray. 3 Venator-class destroyers had been crippled, their shields collapsed under concentrated separatist fire. 2 Acclamator-class assault ships were retreating, trailing plasma and atmosphere. The defensive line that had seemed so formidable an hour ago was fracturing. And at the center of it all, the prize, Atlantis. Magnificent, came Count Dooku's voice through the comm. The Sith Lord stood aboard his Providence carrier, mere kilometers from the ancient city ship. The Republic throws their forces away defending strangers. It is almost poetic. The city ship's defenses are formidable, Grievous rasped, his mechanical voice devoid of inflection. Their drone weapons destroyed the Malice with a single salvo. Our standard tactics will not suffice. Which is why I will handle this personally, Dooku replied. Ready the boarding craft, General. And prepare the decimator. Grievous optical sensors brightened. The decimator, a prototype boarding ship equipped with shield-penetrating technology reverse-engineered from ancient Geonosian designs. Untested in actual combat, but theoretically capable of punching through even the most advanced deflector screens. As you command, Count Dooku. Grievous turned to his tactical droid. Deploy all boarding craft. Focus on the city ship's lower spires. And prepare magpulse torpedoes. If their shields prove too strong, we will disable them by force. The tactical droid's photoreceptors flickered. Calculating optimal attack vectors. Probability of successful boarding, 63%. Probability of Republic interference, 87%. Then we ensure the Republic is too occupied to interfere. Grievous activated the fleet-wide channel. All ships, concentrate fire on Republic capital ships. Ignore the city ship for now. We want it intact. Across the Separatist fleet, turbolaser batteries adjusted their targeting. Green and red bolts of plasma rained down on the Republic defenders with renewed intensity. Inside Atlantis, alarms wailed across every level. Separatist boarding craft incoming, a technician shouted. Multiple vectors, all targeting our lower sections. Sheppard watched the tactical display with growing dread. Dozens of small craft, roughly the size of puddle jumpers. were weaving through the space battle, using larger ships as cover. Their profiles were angular, aggressive, built for one purpose, getting troops onto a hostile vessel. Rodney, can the shields stop them? The shields can stop weapons fire, Rodney replied, his hands dancing across the console. But these things aren't firing. They're just ramming directly into the shield envelope. The shields are energy barriers, not solid walls. If they're designed to penetrate rather than explode. One of the boarding craft struck Atlantis's lower shield facing. Instead of detonating or bouncing off, it seemed to phase through, its hull glowing with some kind of exotic energy that disrupted the ancient shield harmonics just long enough to slip through. Then we have a problem, Rodney finished weakly. How many got through? Sheppard demanded. 3 so far. No, 5. 7. Colonel, they're boarding us. Major Lorne was already moving. Marine teams, converge on lower levels. We've got hostile contacts in sections 12, 15, and 19. He turned to Sheppard. Sir, permission to activate internal defenses? Do it. And Lorne, these aren't Wraith. We don't know what we're facing. Roger that. Marines, weapons free but confirm targets before engaging. Let's not shoot any civilians. As Lorne rushed out to coordinate the defense, Sheppard turned to find Master Koon entering the control room, flanked by 4 other Jedi. One was a young human woman with a green lightsaber, another a Twi'lek male with blue skin, a third a towering Wookiee who carried no visible weapon but radiated quiet menace, and the fourth. Ahsoka Tano, the young Togruta woman said, extending a hand. Padawan to Anakin Skywalker. Master Koon requested Jedi with combat experience. I've been fighting since I was 14. She couldn't have been more than 17 now. Sheppard shook her hand, disturbed by how young she was. You're a kid. I'm a Jedi, she corrected with a slight smile. And I've fought General Grievous twice and survived. That's more than most clone troopers can say. Grievous is here? Tayla asked sharply. Commanding the separatist fleet, Koon confirmed. A cyborg general, more machine than organic. He is a brilliant tactician and a ruthless killer. If Dooku has brought him, they intend to take Atlantis by overwhelming force. As if summoned by the name, a new alert chimed. Rodney's face went pale. Oh, no. No, no, no. Colonel, something big just launched from Dooku's flagship. I don't know what it is. Some kind of assault craft, but it's generating a resonance field that's making our shields fluctuate. On the view screen, the Decimator appeared, a massive, angular vessel that looked like a dagger pointed at Atlantis's heart. Energy crackled along its hull, pulsing in rhythmic waves that made the ancient sensors scream with interference. It's targeting our primary shield generator, Rodney reported, his voice climbing toward panic. If that thing hits us, it'll punch through the shields like they're not even there. Can we shoot it down? Sheppard asked. The drones can't get a lock. The resonance field is scrambling their targeting systems. Koon stepped forward, his orange eyes studying the tactical display. This is Dooku's strategy. Overwhelm your defenses with multiple attack vectors while his boarding teams secure critical positions inside. Then, when you're distracted, the Decimator breaches your shield and delivers the killing blow. So how do we stop it? We don't, Koon said calmly. We let it breach. Everyone in the control room turned to stare at the Jedi Master. Excuse me? Rodney said faintly. Did you just suggest we let them punch through our shields? The Decimator is designed to penetrate shields, not to fight once inside. If we allow it through and disable it before it can deploy its troops, we eliminate Dooku's primary advantage. Koon turned to Ahsoka. You and I will lead a team to intercept the Decimator when it breaches. The other Jedi will assist with defending against the boarding parties. That's insane, Rodney protested. If you fail, we're defenseless. If we succeed, Koon countered, we capture advanced separatist technology and demonstrate that Atlantis is not an easy target. Sometimes, Dr. McKay, the best defense is a calculated risk. Sheppard found himself agreeing despite his instincts. Do it. But Master Koon, if this goes wrong, then we will face the consequences together, the Jedi Master replied. As allies. Level 12, Atlantis Lower Spire. The separatist boarding craft had burned through an exterior hatch using plasma torches, filling the corridor with acrid smoke and superheated metal. When the hatch finally gave way, battle droids poured through, tall, skeletal machines moving with mechanical precision. Roger, Roger, one intoned in a bizarrely cheerful voice. Locate power generators. Secure technology. Eliminate resistance. They advanced down the corridor in formation, their E-5 blaster rifles raised and ready. 20 droids, perfectly synchronized, moving deeper into Atlantis's infrastructure. They made it 15 meters before the Marines hit them. Gunfire erupted from hidden positions, P-90s chattering in controlled bursts, sending rounds downrange with devastating accuracy. The battle droid's armor was designed to resist blaster fire, but it wasn't prepared for kinetic projectiles traveling at 900 meters per second. The first droid took 3 rounds to the chest and collapsed, sparking. The second lost its head to a perfectly aimed burst. The third and fourth went down together, their legs shot out from under them. Suppress and advance. Sergeant Stackhouse shouted, leading his fire team forward. The Marines moved with practiced efficiency, using ancient architecture as cover while they systematically dismantled the droid squad. But the droids were learning. One activated a personal shield, a shimmering bubble that deflected the next burst of P-90 fire. Another lobbed a thermal detonator that forced the Marines to scatter. The explosion tore through a section of corridor, collapsing part of the ceiling. When the smoke cleared, the droids had established a defensive position and were returning fire with deadly precision. Blue blaster bolts sizzled through the air. Level 12, Atlantis Lower Spire. The separatist boarding craft had burned through an exterior hatch using plasma torches, filling the corridor with acrid smoke and superheated metal. When the hatch finally gave way, battle droids poured through, tall, skeletal machines moving with mechanical precision. Roger, Roger, one intoned in a bizarrely cheerful voice. Locate power generators. Secure technology. Eliminate resistance. They advanced down the corridor in formation, their E-5 blaster rifles raised and ready. 20 droids, perfectly synchronized, moving deeper into Atlantis's infrastructure. They made it 15 meters before the Marines hit them. Gunfire erupted from hidden positions, P-90s chattering in controlled bursts, sending rounds downrange with devastating accuracy. The battle droid's armor was designed to resist blaster fire, but it wasn't prepared for kinetic projectiles traveling at 900 meters per second. The first droid took 3 rounds to the chest and collapsed, sparking. The second lost its head to a perfectly aimed burst. The third and fourth went down together, their legs shot out from under them. Suppress and advance. Sergeant Stackhouse shouted, leading his fire team forward. The Marines moved with practiced efficiency, using ancient architecture as cover while they systematically dismantled the droid squad. But the droids were learning. One activated a personal shield, a shimmering bubble that deflected the next burst of P-90 fire. Another lobbed a thermal detonator that forced the Marines to scatter. The explosion tore through a section of corridor, collapsing part of the ceiling. When the smoke cleared, the droids had established a defensive position and were returning fire with deadly precision. Blue blaster bolts sizzled through the air. One Marine screamed as a bolt caught his shoulder, burning through tactical armor. Another ducked just in time to avoid having his head taken off. "We need backup," Stackhouse called into his radio. These things are tougher than they look. His answer came in the form of a blue lightsaber igniting in the darkness. The Twi'lek Jedi, Master Tion, stepped into the corridor, his blade humming with contained energy. Blaster bolts struck toward him, and he moved, not with normal speed, but with the impossible grace of someone who could see the future. His lightsaber blurred. Blaster bolts were deflected back toward their sources, striking droids with their own fire. In seconds, 3 more droids fell, their chassis smoking from reflected energy. Impressive, Stackhouse muttered. Master Tion advanced, his lightsaber carving through droid armor like paper. The remaining droids tried to concentrate fire, but he was already moving, flowing around their attacks with supernatural precision. His blade found joints, power cores, photoreceptors, every strike perfectly placed. The last droid managed to transmit a brief signal before Master Tion's lightsaber bisected it, Jedi presence confirmed. Resistance stronger than. The transmission cut off. The corridor fell silent except for the hum of the lightsaber and the groans of wounded Marines. Get those men to the infirmary, Master Tion instructed. More will come. We must be ready. Stackhouse nodded, already calling for medics. But as he looked at the destroyed droids, he realized something disturbing. This was just the first wave. And if the separatists were willing to throw away droids like this, what else were they willing to sacrifice? Main Hangar Bay. The decimator breached Atlantis's shields with a sound like reality tearing. Rodney watched on his sensors as the massive assault craft punched through the energy barrier, its resonance field creating a temporary hole that sealed behind it. The ship was inside the shield envelope now, hanging in the hangar bay's atmospheric containment field like a predator studying prey. It's powering up weapons, he reported. Internal systems detecting some kind of troop deployment mechanism. The decimator's sides opened like a blooming flower, and troops began to deploy. But these weren't battle droids. They were Magna Guards, elite droid bodyguards standing over 2 meters tall, wielding electrostaffs that crackled with energy. Behind them came commando droids in sleek black armor, moving with disturbing organic fluidity. And at the center of the formation, descending on a repulsor platform, was General Grievous himself. The cyborg general's cape billowed dramatically as he landed, his 4 arms spreading wide. In each mechanical hand, a lightsaber ignited, blue, green, blue, green. Trophies taken from Jedi he'd killed. I am General Grievous, he announced, his voice a mechanical rasp that echoed through the hangar. Surrender this facility, and your deaths will be swift. PLO Koon and Ahsoka stepped forward from behind a puddle jumper, their own lightsabers igniting in response. General, PLO Koon said calmly. You are in violation of Republic territory. Surrender, and you will be treated according to the laws of war. Grievous' optical sensors brightened with what might have been amusement. PLO Koon. The Jedi Council sends you to defend this ancient ship. How, predictable. His gaze shifted to Ahsoka. And you bring a child. Does the Republic truly scrape the bottom of the barrel? I've fought you before, Grievous, Ahsoka said, her voice steady despite facing a 4-armed cyborg wielding stolen lightsabers. You ran. Twice. Tactical retreats, Grievous corrected. But today, there is nowhere to run. Today, I claim this prize for Count Dooku and the Confederacy. He attacked. Grievous moved with shocking speed for something so large, his 4 arms spinning lightsabers in a blinding display of blade work. PLO Koon met the assault with calm precision, his own blade deflecting strikes that would have killed a lesser Jedi. Ahsoka darted in from the side, her dual sabers, one green, one yellow. Seeking gaps in Grievous' defense. But the general was a machine. He didn't tire. Didn't hesitate. Didn't feel fear. His upper arms engaged PLO Koon while his lower arms targeted Ahsoka. Lightsabers clashed with thunderous cracks, energy blades screaming as they met. Grievous' mechanical body rotated at the waist, allowing him to attack from impossible angles. "Your Jedi tricks will not save you," Grievous rasped, pressing the attack. Koon force pushed, sending Grievous sliding backward across the deck. The general's clawed feet found purchase, and he launched himself forward again, lightsabers whirling in a deadly pattern that pushed both Jedi onto the defensive. Behind them, the Magna Guards engaged Republic clone troopers who teleported in via Atlantis's internal transporters. The droids' electrostaffs crackled against clone armor, discharging enough voltage to stun or kill. But the clones were trained professionals, working in pairs to isolate and destroy the elite droids. And in the control room, Sheppard watched the battle unfold with growing horror. "We have to help them," he said. "How?" Rodney demanded. "We can't shoot in there without hitting our own people." Ronan stepped forward, his particle magnum already drawn. "Then we go down there." Ronan. "He's right," Tayla said, checking her P90. "The Jedi are fighting for us. We should fight alongside them." Sheppard knew she was right. Knew that sitting in the control room while others bled defending his city was wrong. But he also knew that if he left, if something happened to him, Atlantis would be without command in the middle of a battle. Dr. Were made the decision for him. "Go, John. I'll coordinate from here. But don't do anything stupid." "Define stupid," Sheppard said, echoing Rodney's earlier words. "Getting killed by a four-armed cyborg would qualify." Sheppard, Tayla, and Ronan ran for the transporters, weapons ready, hearts pounding. In the hangar below, General Grievous drove Koon back against a puddle jumper, for lightsabers seeking the killing blow. The Jedi Masters' defense was perfect, but even perfection could be overwhelmed by sheer mechanical persistence. "You cannot win," Grievous hissed. "You are organic. Fallible. Weak." "Perhaps," Koon replied. "But we are not alone." A golden drone screamed through the hangar, its ancient targeting system locked onto Grievous. The cyborg barely had time to register the threat before the drone struck his left arm, the one holding a green lightsaber. The impact severed the mechanical limb at the elbow. Grievous stumbled, his optical sensors flaring with what might have been surprise. More drones followed, a swarm of ancient technology targeting the droids with lethal precision. Magna Guards fell, their chassis punctured by weapons designed to fight far more advanced enemies. Commando droids tried to evade, but the drones adjusted course mid-flight, pursuing with relentless efficiency. In the control room, Major Lorne sat in the drone chair, his mind linked to the ancient weapons through the ATA gene. "Thought you could board us without consequences? Think again." Grievous snarled, an electronic, inhuman sound, and activated his built-in grappling cables. They shot toward the ceiling, yanking him upward and out of the drone swarm's immediate range. "Retreat," he commanded. "Back to the decimator." The surviving droids disengaged, falling back toward their assault craft. Clone troopers pursued, but Koon raised a hand. "Let them go. We have bigger concerns." Because on the main view screen, visible even from the hangar, Count Dooku's Providence carrier was moving closer. And the dark side energy radiating from it was growing stronger by the second. When Sheppard, Tayla, and Ronan materialized in the hangar via transport, they found Koon and Ahsoka standing amid smoking droid remains, their lightsabers still ignited, staring up at the approaching Sith Lord. "That was just the opening move," Ahsoka said quietly. "Now comes the real fight." Sheppard checked his P90, knowing with absolute certainty that bullets wouldn't stop what was coming. "Then we'd better be ready," he said. Because Count Dooku was done with subtle approaches. And when a Sith Lord decided to take something by force, the galaxy itself trembled. Count Dooku stood in the observation chamber of his Providence-class carrier, hands clasped behind his back, watching Atlantis through the viewport. Around him, the space battle raged, Republic ships trading fire with separatist vessels, fighters weaving through explosions, the chaos of war painted in fire and plasma across the void. But Dooku's focus remained on the ancient city ship. It floated there, shielded and defiant, its alien architecture a testament to a civilization that had never known the Force. That very fact intrigued him more than he cared to admit. "Master," came a voice from behind him. General Grievous limped onto the bridge, his severed arm trailing sparks. The initial assault was repelled. The ancient weapons are more formidable than anticipated. The droids are expendable, Dooku finished calmly. As is the Decimator. As are you, General, should you continue to disappoint me. Grievous' optical sensors dimmed slightly, the cyborg equivalent of a flinch. I will not fail again, Count Dooku. See that you don't. Dooku turned from the viewport, his aristocratic features set in contemplative lines. Prepare my personal shuttle. And inform the fleet to intensify their assault on the Republic positions. I want every Jedi distracted when I make my move. You intend to board Atlantis yourself? I intend to claim what is rightfully mine, Dooku corrected. Technology from beyond this universe, power that exists outside the Force itself. Such things cannot be left in the hands of fools who would squander them. He moved toward the hangar, his cape trailing behind him. As he walked, he reached out through the Force, feeling the currents of battle, the fear and determination of those fighting. And beyond it all, that strange void where Atlantis existed, a gap in the tapestry of the Force that offended everything he understood about the galaxy. It was time to fill that void. With darkness, if necessary. Dooku's shuttle just launched, Rodney announced, his voice tight. It's heading straight for us. And Colonel, the energy signature I'm reading from that shuttle, it's the same Force signature from before, but concentrated. Focused. Sheppard stood at the central console, still catching his breath from the hangar battle. Around him, his core team had assembled, Tayla checking her weapons, Ronan standing ready like a coiled spring, Dr. We're coordinating with Colonel Caldwell on the Deadless, and Major Lorne preparing defensive positions throughout the city. Master PLO Koon, Sheppard said into his radio, Dooku's on his way. Personal shuttle, probably carrying himself and elite troops. The Jedi Master's voice came back calm but grave. Count Dooku is one of the most powerful Sith Lords in the galaxy. His mastery of the dark side is matched only by his skill with a lightsaber. He will not be stopped by conventional weapons. Then what do we use? Unconventional ones. There was a pause. Colonel, Dooku was trained by Master Yoda himself. He has studied lightsaber combat for decades. He can predict moves before they're made, sense attacks through the Force, and his connection to the dark side grants him abilities that defy natural law. Lightning that burns flesh. Telekinesis powerful enough to crush metal. Mental domination that breaks wills. You're not selling me on our chances here, Sheppard said dryly. I am preparing you for reality. If Dooku reaches Atlantis, only Jedi can face him directly. Your people should evacuate critical areas and... Not happening, Sheppard interrupted. This is our city. We're not abandoning it to some evil space wizard. Ahsoka's voice cut in. Then you'll need to trust us, Colonel. Let the Jedi handle Dooku while your people secure the rest of the city. We've trained for this. You haven't. It grated against every instinct Sheppard had. But Ahsoka was right. He'd seen what lightsabers could do, seen the way Jedi moved with impossible grace. His team were good soldiers, exceptional ones, but they weren't equipped for this kind of fight. Fine, he said reluctantly. But I'm not sitting this out completely. Rodney, can we use the transporters to move people around the city faster than Dooku can track? Theoretically, yes. The ancient transportation system operates on quantum principles that might not register to Force senses. But Colonel, if we're wrong. If we're wrong, we die. Same as if we do nothing. Sheppard turned to Tayla and Ronan. Get teams positioned at every critical junction. Transporters, power cores, the chair room. If Dooku's troops get past the Jedi, they'll go for those targets. Understood, Tayla said, already moving. Ronan cracked his knuckles, his particle magnum held ready. What about you? I'm going to do something probably stupid, Sheppard admitted. I'm going to meet Count Dooku personally. John, Doctor, we're started. Someone has to negotiate, Sheppard said. And it should be me. Maybe I can buy the Jedi time to get into position. Maybe I can convince him that taking Atlantis by force will cost more than it's worth. Or maybe he'll kill you on the spot, Rodney said bluntly. Yeah. That's also possible. Count Dooku's shuttle settled onto the landing platform with mechanical precision. The ramp descended, and from within emerged a figure that commanded attention without effort, tall, silver-bearded, dressed in dark robes that seemed to absorb light. His curved lightsaber hilt hung at his belt, and his eyes held the cold calculation of someone who had looked into the abyss and chosen to embrace it. Behind him came 4 figures in dark armor. Dooku's personal guard, elite soldiers trained to kill Jedi. They moved with disciplined silence, their weapons ready but not raised. And standing at the edge of the platform, flanked by 2 Marines with P-90s, was Lieutenant Colonel John Sheppard. Colonel Sheppard, Dooku said pleasantly, as if they were meeting for tea rather than in the middle of a battle. How gracious of you to greet me personally. It speaks well of your diplomatic instincts. Count Dooku, Sheppard replied, his tone neutral. You're trespassing on our city. We've already told you, we're not interested in joining your war. And yet you allowed Jedi aboard. You accepted Republic protection. You destroyed separatist vessels. Dooku descended the ramp with measured steps, each movement calculated for maximum impact. Your actions, Colonel, speak louder than your words. Your forces attacked us first, Sheppard countered. We defended ourselves. That's not the same as choosing a side. Semantics. Dooku stopped several meters away, close enough to converse but far enough to maintain tactical distance. But I did not come here to debate philosophy. I came to make you an offer. One final opportunity to avoid unnecessary bloodshed. I'm listening. Surrender Atlantis to Confederacy authority. In return, I guarantee the safety of your people, access to our resources, and assistance in researching your dimensional predicament. We have scientists, archaeologists, entire universities dedicated to studying ancient technologies. Together, we could unlock the secrets of your arrival and perhaps even send you home. It was a good offer. Almost compelling, if Sheppard didn't know what Dooku really was. And if we refuse? Dooku's expression didn't change, but something dark flickered in his eyes. Then I will take Atlantis by force. Your shields, impressive though they are, cannot hold forever. Your drone weapons, formidable though they are, have limited ammunition. And your people, brave though they are, cannot stand against the dark side of the Force. The Jedi seem to do okay against it. The Jedi are fools clinging to outdated philosophies, Dooku said, his voice sharpening. They preach peace while waging war. They speak of balance while serving a corrupt republic. I offer you something they cannot, honesty. I want your technology, Colonel. I want your city's power, your ancient knowledge, your dimensional capabilities. I will not pretend otherwise. Sheppard had to admit, the honesty was refreshing in a twisted way. And if we give you all that, what happens to us? You become allies of the Confederacy. Honored guests with all the freedom such status provides. Dooku paused. Or you become prisoners of war, held until the conflict ends and your fate can be properly adjudicated. The choice is yours. So we're either your allies or your hostages. Some choice. More choice than the Republic offers, Dooku countered. The Jedi would manipulate you with false promises of freedom while binding you ever tighter to their dying cause. At least with the Confederacy, you know where you stand. Sheppard considered his next words carefully. He needed to stall, needed to give Koon and the other Jedi time to set up their defensive positions. But he also needed to understand what they were really facing. You mentioned the dark side, he said. Master Koon said you were trained as a Jedi first. What made you switch? For the first time, Dooku's expression showed something other than cold calculation. Something that might have been genuine emotion. I saw the truth, he said quietly. The Jedi preach detachment, but attachment is what makes us alive. They fear power, but power is what protects the innocent. They serve the Republic blindly, even as it rots from within. His voice hardened. I was Master Yoda's apprentice. I learned their ways, mastered their techniques. And I realized they were wrong. The dark side is not evil, Colonel. It is simply honest. It embraces passion, ambition, strength, all the things that make sentient beings more than mindless drones. Sounds like a justification for doing whatever you want, Sheppard observed. Perhaps. Or perhaps it's the recognition that the universe is not divided into simple categories of good and evil. Perhaps it's understanding that sometimes, achieving peace requires embracing war. That protecting life sometimes requires taking it. Dooku's hand drifted toward his lightsaber hilt, not threateningly, but deliberately. A reminder of what he was capable of. You were a soldier once, Colonel Sheppard. You've made difficult decisions. Sacrificed lives to save others. Ordered men into battle knowing some wouldn't return. Tell me, in those moments, did you find comfort in Jedi philosophy about peace and serenity? Or did you embrace the harsh reality that sometimes, survival requires strength? The words hit harder than Sheppard wanted to admit. Because Dooku was right about one thing, command meant making impossible choices. It meant living with consequences that haunted you. But that didn't make Dooku's path right. I've made hard choices, Sheppard said. But I didn't embrace darkness to do it. I didn't let the difficulty of command turn me into something I'm not. Are you certain? Dooku asked softly. Or do you simply lie to yourself about what you've become? Every decision that led to death, every order that cost lives, those moments changed you, Colonel. Made you harder. Colder. More willing to sacrifice for the mission. That is the dark side, whether you acknowledge it or not. No, Sheppard said firmly. That's experience. That's learning from mistakes. The difference between you and me is that I don't use my past to justify future atrocities. Dooku's expression shifted, something like disappointment crossed his aristocratic features. Then you are either a liar or a fool. I had hoped for better. The temperature in the docking bay seemed to drop. Sheppard felt pressure building, that same invasive sensation from before, but stronger now. More focused. I will ask you one final time, Dooku said, his voice carrying power that seemed to resonate in Sheppard's bones. Surrender Atlantis. Or face the consequences of your stubbornness. Sheppard met his gaze. We didn't survive the Wraith by surrendering to threats. We're not starting now. So be it. Dooku's hand moved. His lightsaber flew to his palm and ignited in a single fluid motion, its red blade humming with dark side energy. Behind him, his guards raised their weapons. The Marines flanking Sheppard brought up their P-90s. And from the shadows of the docking bay, lightsabers ignited in response. Master Koon stepped forward, his blade a brilliant blue. Ahsoka appeared from behind a support pillar, her dual sabers ready. The Wookiee Jedi. Master Tyvaka emerged from the opposite side, and the human Jedi Knight brandished her green blade with quiet determination. Count Dooku, Koon said calmly. Your presence here violates multiple Republic laws and the rules of war. Surrender, and you will be treated fairly. Dooku smiled, a cold, predatory expression. Still clinging to your illusions of justice, PLO Koon. I had hoped the war would teach you better. The war has taught me that some battles must be fought, PLO Koon replied. And that some evils must be opposed, regardless of cost. Then let us see if your conviction matches your rhetoric. Dooku raised his free hand, and lightning erupted from his fingertips. Blue-white energy crackled across the docking bay, arcing toward the Jedi with deadly intensity. But they were ready, lightsabers moved in perfect synchronization, catching the lightning and grounding it harmlessly. Fall back. PLO Koon ordered Sheppard. This is no place for those without the Force. Sheppard didn't need to be told twice. He and his Marines retreated, using ancient pillars as cover while the Jedi engaged Dooku. What followed was a display of martial prowess that defied belief. Dooku moved like water, his curved lightsaber creating arcs of red light that seemed to flow rather than strike. His fighting style, Nakashi, the ancient dueling form, was elegant, precise, designed for single combat against other lightsaber wielders. And he was devastating. His blade found the gap between PLO Koon and Ahsoka, forcing them apart. He parried the Wookiee's powerful overhead strike with minimal effort, redirecting the force rather than opposing it. His footwork was perfect, each step calculated to maintain optimal distance. You are skilled, he said, engaging 3 Jedi simultaneously without apparent strain. But skill alone is insufficient. You lack the conviction to truly commit to victory. He lashed out with the Force, sending the human Jedi Knight flying backward into a bulkhead. She hit hard and slumped, unconscious or worse. Dooku didn't pause, his lightsaber was already moving, seeking Ahsoka's exposed flank. The young Padawan barely deflected the strike, her lesser experience showing against a master duelist. He's too strong, she gasped. Do not fear, PLO Koon said, his breathing steady despite the exertion. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. And hate leads to power, Dooku finished, smiling. As I have proven time and again. Your Jedi mantras are meaningless against one who has transcended such limitations. He attacked with renewed fury, his blade a red blur. PLO Koon met him strike for strike, their lightsabers clashing with thunderous cracks of energy. But even the Jedi Masters' skill couldn't fully counter Dooku's combination of martial mastery and dark side augmentation. Lightning crackled from Dooku's free hand, catching Master Tyvaka off guard. The Wookiee roared in pain, his fur smoking as electricity coursed through his body. He fell, convulsing. 2 down, Dooku observed. How many more Jedi must fall before you accept the inevitable? From his position behind cover, Sheppard watched the battle with growing horror. The Jedi were losing. Slowly, incrementally, but unmistakably. Dooku was simply too powerful, too skilled, too ruthless. They needed an edge. Something Dooku wouldn't expect. Rodney, he said into his radio, can you lock onto Dooku with the transporters? Beam him somewhere else? Already tried, Rodney's voice came back, frustrated. That force energy he's generating is interfering with the targeting sensors. It's like he exists in multiple quantum states simultaneously. The transporters can't get a solid lock. Then we need a different approach. Sheppard's mind raced, cataloging weapons, tactics, anything that might help. What about the drones? Can Lorne target Dooku specifically? Not while the Jedi are engaged with him. The drones are precision weapons, but not that precise. We'd risk hitting our own people. Sheppard watched as Dooku drove Ahsoka back, his lightsaber finding her shoulder. The young Padawan cried out, her left saber falling from nerveless fingers. She stumbled, vulnerable. Dooku raised his blade for the killing blow. And Sheppard made a decision. He stepped out from cover, raised his P-90, and opened fire. The bullets weren't going to hurt Dooku, the Sith Lord's lightsaber moved with impossible speed, deflecting the kinetic rounds with contemptuous ease. But the distraction was enough. Ahsoka rolled away, Koon force pushed her to safety, and the tempo of the battle shifted. Dooku's eyes found Sheppard across the docking bay. "Foolish," he said. "But brave. I respect that, at least." He raised his hand, and Sheppard felt an invisible grip close around his throat. His feet left the ground as Dooku lifted him through the Force, choking the life from him with casual brutality. "This is the price of defiance," Dooku said, his voice carrying across the bay. "This is what happens when lesser beings challenge their betters." Sheppard clawed at his throat, but there was nothing to grab, nothing to fight. His vision began to darken, oxygen-starved brain screaming for air. Then Koon was there, his lightsaber carving toward Dooku's arm. The Sith Lord was forced to release Sheppard to defend himself, and the colonel dropped heavily to the deck, gasping. "Enough," Koon declared, his calm finally cracking into controlled anger. "Your arrogance ends here, Dooku." "Does it?" Dooku's smile was cold. "I have barely begun." And he unleashed the full power of the dark side. Force lightning erupted from both hands, not targeted at individuals but flooding the entire docking bay. The Jedi raised their lightsabers, grounding what they could, but the sheer volume of energy was overwhelming. Electrical discharge crackled across metal surfaces, scorching deck plating, setting equipment ablaze. Sheppard's Marines screamed as lightning found them, their tactical armor providing no protection against the Force. They fell, convulsing, while Sheppard scrambled for cover. This was what a Sith Lord unleashed looked like. This was power beyond science, beyond reason. This was the dark side of the Force made manifest. And they were losing. The control room of Atlantis had become a nerve center of controlled chaos. Holographic displays showed the battle raging on multiple fronts, the space engagement between Republic and Separatist fleets, the firefights in lower sections where droid boarding parties clashed with Marines, and most critically, the docking bay where Count Dooku was systematically dismantling the Jedi defense. Rodney McKay watched it all with mounting horror, his hands frozen above the ancient console as he witnessed Sheppard get force-choked and dropped like a rag doll. "We have to do something," he said, his voice tight. "He's going to kill them all." Dr. Weir stood beside him, her diplomatic composure cracking. "What can we do? Our weapons can't target him without hitting our own people, the transporters can't lock onto him, and we don't have any other." "Wait," Rodney interrupted, his scientific mind latching onto a possibility. "The Force is an energy field generated by biological organisms, right? Specifically, those midichlorian things I detected earlier?" "According to Master Koon, yes." "Why?" "Because energy fields can be disrupted." Rodney's fingers began flying across the console. "The ancient sensors aren't just passive detection devices. They can emit targeted frequencies designed to interfere with specific energy signatures. We used similar technology against the Wraith to disrupt their telepathic networks." "You want to disrupt the Force?" Weir asked incredulously. "Not the entire Force, that would affect the Jedi too. But if I can isolate Dooku's specific Force signature," Rodney pulled up the energy readings from the docking bay, analyzing the dark side emanations that made ancient sensors scream with interference. "His dark side energy has a distinct harmonic frequency. It's concentrated, aggressive, chaotic. Different from the Jedi's more balanced signatures." "Can you target just him?" "In theory. Yes. In practice?" Rodney grimaced. "I've got maybe a 30% chance of not accidentally giving everyone in that docking bay force cancer or whatever happens when you bombard midichlorians with disruption frequencies." "Those aren't good odds, Rodney." "No, but they're better than the 100% chance everyone dies if Dooku isn't stopped." Rodney's hands hovered over the activation sequence. "I need authorization for this, Elizabeth. If I'm wrong." "If you're wrong, we lose people we were going to lose anyway," Weir said, making the command decision. "Do it." "But Rodney, target carefully. Rodney nodded, his throat tight. He adjusted the ancient sensor array to emit a focused pulse, tuned specifically to the chaotic frequency of Dooku's dark side presence. The system wasn't designed for this, it was improvisation based on theoretical xenobiology and desperate hope. He activated the pulse. Count Dooku felt at the instant the ancient technology activated, a wrongness that rippled through the Force like a discordant note in a symphony. The dark side energy he'd been channeling stuttered, flickered, as if something was interfering with the very fabric of his power. His Force lightning cut off mid-burst. The telekinetic grip he'd been maintaining on falling debris faltered. For the first time in decades, he felt the Force become distant. What? He began, then staggered as another pulse washed over him. It wasn't pain, exactly. It was disconnection. Like trying to grasp water that kept slipping through his fingers. The midichlorians in his cells were still there, still generating the Force connection, but something was scrambling the signal between them and his conscious will. Master Koon didn't waste the opportunity. His lightsaber struck toward Dooku's exposed flank, forcing the Sith Lord to defend with pure physical skill rather than Force-augmented precognition. The tempo of the battle shifted immediately. Without his ability to sense attacks before they came, Dooku was forced into reactive defense. Koon pressed the advantage, his Ataru form's acrobatic strikes coming from unexpected angles. Ahsoka recovered her fallen lightsaber and rejoined the fight, her dual blade seeking gaps in Dooku's defense. Some kind of technological interference, Dooku growled, parrying desperately. Ancient systems disrupting the Force itself. Impossible. Perhaps, Koon said calmly, his blade a blur of blue light, the impossible is becoming quite common around Atlantis. Dooku's aristocratic composure finally cracked. Rage, pure, unfiltered dark side rage, flooded through him. If he couldn't use the Force with finesse, he would use it with overwhelming power. He roared, and the dark side responded despite the interference. Raw, unfocused energy erupted from him like a shockwave, sending both Jedi flying backward. It cost him, without fine control, the power burned through his reserves at an unsustainable rate, but it created space. You think your technology can save you? Dooku snarled, his silver beard disheveled, his robes singed from reflected blaster fire. You understand nothing of the Force. Nothing of true power. He thrust both hands forward, and despite the ancient disruption, lightning erupted once more. But this time it was wild, uncontrolled, arcing randomly across the docking bay. It struck Jedi, Marines, his own guards, the deck itself, pure destruction without discrimination. Ahsoka threw up a Force barrier, protecting herself and the wounded Jedi behind her. But the sustained lightning was draining her reserves fast. Master I can't hold this. Koon was already moving. He couldn't use the Force reliably under the ancient interference either, but he'd been a Jedi for decades before mastering Force abilities. His lightsaber form, his combat instincts, his sheer experience, those remained. He charged directly through the lightning, his blade grounding what it could, his body accepting the rest. Pain lanced through him, but he didn't stop. Couldn't stop. His lightsaber found Dooku's wrist. The Sith Lord screamed as the blade burned through flesh and bone, severing his right hand at the joint. His curved lightsaber fell, deactivating as it tumbled across the deck. Dooku stumbled backward, clutching the cauterized stump, his face twisted in agony and fury. You dare. It is over, Count, Koon said, his breathing labored but steady. Surrender. There need be no more bloodshed. For a moment, Dooku seemed to consider it. His remaining hand lowered from the wound. His shoulders slumped. Then he smiled. You truly believe you've won? He laughed, a bitter, mocking sound. You've taken my hand. Disrupted my Force connection temporarily. Driven me back. And yet, you have accomplished nothing. You are defeated, Ahsoka said, stepping forward with her lightsabers ready. Your boarding teams are destroyed. Your fleet is stalemated. And now you're our prisoner. Am I? Dooku's smile widened. Look around you, child. Look at what this battle has cost. Sheppard pulled himself to his feet, his throat bruised from the force choke, and followed Dooku's gaze. The docking bay was devastated. Scorch marks covered every surface, bodies of Marines and Dooku's guards lay where lightning had struck them, and the Jedi who'd fought so bravely were injured and exhausted. But that wasn't what Dooku was pointing to. On the tactical displays visible through the bay's open doors, the space battle had shifted. The Separatist fleet, rather than pressing their attack, was retreating. Falling back to a defensive perimeter, their weapons powered down. What is this? PLO Koon demanded. This, Dooku said, his voice regaining its aristocratic composure despite the pain, is a demonstration. I came here to claim Atlantis, yes. But more importantly, I came to prove a point. He touched a device on his belt with his remaining hand. A holographic image appeared, not of himself, but of Master Yoda. The ancient Jedi looked troubled, standing in the council chamber with other masters. Dooku's assault on Atlantis was a diversion, Yoda's holographic image was saying to the assembled council. While the bulk of our fleet defended Coruscant space, Separatist forces struck at Kamino. The clone production facilities, heavily damaged, they are. Months of clone production, lost. The transmission ended. Dooku's smile was triumphant despite his injury. You defended a city from beyond your galaxy while I destroyed the Republic's ability to replace its army, he said. The Jedi Council committed forces to protect strangers, and in doing so, abandoned strategic assets. This battle was never about claiming Atlantis, Colonel Sheppard. It was about exposing the Republic's weakness, their sentimentality, their willingness to sacrifice strategic advantage for moral posturing. Sheppard felt his stomach drop. They'd been used. Played like pieces on a game board they didn't even know existed. You sacrificed your own troops, PLO Koon said, disgust evident in his tone. Your boarding parties, your Magna Guards, all expendable pawns. All soldiers are expendable, Dooku countered. The difference is that I acknowledge this truth while you hide behind noble rhetoric. And now, the Republic will struggle to replace its clone casualties while the Separatist droid factories continue production unabated. The war shifts in our favor because you chose to protect those who cannot help you win. We chose to protect innocent lives, Ahsoka said fiercely. That's what Jedi do. And that, Dooku replied, is why you will lose. He triggered another device on his belt. A personal shield, similar to the ones his Magna Guards had used, snapped into existence around him, encasing him in a shimmering bubble of energy. My shuttle is equipped with an emergency extraction system, he said calmly. Tractor beams are already locking onto my position. You can destroy the shield, yes, but not before I'm retrieved. And then we'll be back to where we started, except now I'll have first-hand intelligence on your defenses and capabilities. PLO Koon raised his lightsaber. We can still. You can do nothing, Dooku said flatly. Not without killing me and violating the very principles you claim to uphold. I am unarmed, he gestured to his severed hand, defeated, and retreating. The rules of war you Jedi hold so dear prevent you from executing a fleeing enemy, do they not? The bitter truth of it hung in the air. Dooku was right. He'd lost this engagement, but he'd won the strategic objective. And now he was going to walk away because the Jedi Code prevented them from striking down an unarmed, retreating opponent. A tractor beam locked onto Dooku's shielded form, beginning to pull him toward his waiting shuttle. His guards' bodies were similarly grabbed, no evidence left behind. A final word of advice, Colonel Sheppard, Dooku called out as he was lifted off the deck. The Republic will drain you dry and then discard you. The Jedi will use your technology to prolong a war they cannot win. And when your power runs out, when you have nothing left to offer, they will abandon you to whatever fate awaits. And the Confederacy would be different? Sheppard shot back. No, Dooku admitted with brutal honesty. But at least we are honest about our intentions. The Jedi lie, to you, to themselves, to the galaxy. That is what makes them truly dangerous. He was pulled through the atmospheric shield into his shuttle. The craft's engines flared, and it accelerated away from Atlantis, making for the separatist fleet that was already jumping to hyperspace. Silence fell over the docking bay. Medics rushed in to tend to the wounded. Marines secured the perimeter. And Sheppard stood in the center of the devastation, trying to process what had just happened. They'd won the battle. Driven off Dooku, destroyed his boarding teams, held Atlantis. But they'd lost something more important, the illusion that they could remain neutral. Colonel Sheppard. PLO Koon approached, deactivating his lightsaber. His robes were scorched, his breathing apparatus damaged, but his orange eyes remained calm. I am sorry. Dooku was right about one thing, we should have anticipated this tactic. We failed to protect Kamino while defending you. You didn't fail, Sheppard said. You made a choice. Same as we did when we didn't surrender. A choice with consequences. PLO Koon looked around the devastated bay. The Republic will now face a prolonged war with diminished capacity to replace casualties. The political fallout from the Kamino attack will be severe. And there will be those in the Senate who blame your presence for this disaster. Are they wrong? Sheppard asked quietly. PLO Koon was silent for a long moment. No, he finally said. But they are not entirely right either. Dooku would have found another excuse, another strategic opportunity. He is cunning and ruthless. This is simply the game we are all playing now. Ahsoka joined them, her shoulder wrapped in a hasty bandage. What do we do now? Now, PLO Koon said, we tend to our wounded and assess the damage. Then we must inform the Council of what transpired here. And Colonel Sheppard must decide whether Atlantis will continue to accept Republic protection, knowing the cost that protection carries. Sheppard looked at the young Padawan, barely more than a teenager, standing ready to fight again if needed. Looked at PLO Koon, who'd risked his life defending people from another universe. Looked at his own Marines, some dead, others wounded, all of them far from home in a war that wasn't theirs. Get your wounded to our infirmary, he said. We've got ancient medical technology that might help. And Master PLO Koon, thank you. You didn't have to defend us, but you did. That means something. It is what Jedi do, PLO Koon replied simply. As medical teams rushed to evacuate casualties and repair crews began assessing structural damage, Sheppard made his way back to the control room. He needed to talk to his command staff, needed to figure out their next move. But in his gut, he already knew the truth, they'd crossed a line. They weren't neutral observers anymore. They were participants in the Clone Wars, whether they wanted to be or not. And somewhere in the galaxy, Count Dooku was already planning his next move. Count Dooku sat in a medical chair while a surgical droid worked on his severed wrist, preparing it for cybernetic replacement. The pain was manageable, he'd learned long ago to channel such sensations through the dark side, transforming agony into power. General Grievous stood nearby, his own damaged arm already replaced with a fresh mechanical limb. The attack on Kamino was successful, Count. Clone production has been set back by an estimated 6 months. But we lost the decimator and 3 boarding craft. Was it worth the cost? Every sacrifice serves a purpose, General. Dooku watched the surgical droid work with detached interest. We learned valuable intelligence about Atlantis's defenses. We demonstrated the Republic's strategic weakness. And most importantly, we forced Colonel Sheppard to choose a side. He defeated you, Grievous observed bluntly. He survived, Dooku corrected. There is a difference. I lost this battle deliberately, General. Sometimes, a strategic retreat teaches more than a decisive victory. And what did we learn? Dooku smiled, despite the pain. That Atlantis's power is not infinite. That their ancient technology can be disrupted. That they are psychologically vulnerable to the same moral dilemmas that cripple the Jedi. And that Colonel Sheppard, for all his bravado, is fundamentally a good man trying to protect his people. How does that help us? Because good men are predictable, Dooku said. They make decisions based on principles rather than pragmatism. And principles can be exploited. The surgical droid completed its initial work, stepping back. Dooku flexed his remaining fingers, testing the neural interfaces that would soon connect to cybernetics. Prepare a new assault plan, he ordered. But this time, we won't attack Atlantis directly. We'll attack what Colonel Sheppard values most. Innocent lives he feels compelled to protect. We'll force him to choose between his mission and his morality. And when he chooses morality? Grievous asked. Then we'll have him exactly where we want him. Dooku stood, his aristocratic bearing undimmed by injury or defeat. Through the viewport, he could see the stars streaking past as the fleet jumped through hyperspace, fleeing the Coruscant system. One battle lost. But the war was far from over. And Atlantis, for all its ancient power, was about to learn a harsh truth: in the Clone Wars, there were no neutral parties. Only victors and casualties. The question was which Atlantis would become. 48 hours after the Battle of Atlantis, as the engagement was already being called in Republic communications, the Jedi Temple's Council Chamber hosted an emergency session. The holographic forms of Jedi scattered across the galaxy flickered into existence, their expressions uniformly grave. Master Yoda sat in his customary seat, his eyes closed in meditation. When he finally spoke, his voice carried the weight of 900 years of experience and recent failure. A costly victory, this was. Won the battle at Atlantis, we did. But at what price? Mace Windu's hologram leaned forward from Ryloth. Kamino's primary cloning facilities were hit hard. The Kaminoans estimate 6 to 8 months before full production capacity is restored. That's millions of replacement clones we won't have. And the political fallout? Ki-Adi-Mundi asked from his position on Megiddo. Severe, came Bail Organa's voice. The senator from Alderaan appeared via hologram, his diplomatic composure strained. The Senate is in chaos. Half the delegates are demanding we expel Atlantis from Coruscant space for attracting separatist aggression. The other half want to seize the city ship outright and conscript its technology for the war effort. Seize it? Obi-Wan Kenobi's hologram looked scandalized. They're refugees from another universe, not enemy combatants. They destroyed 12 separatist vessels, Organa countered. That makes them combatants, regardless of intent. And their technology, he paused, choosing words carefully. Chancellor Palpatine has requested a full briefing on ancient capabilities. He believes Atlantis could be the key to ending the war. In the control room of Atlantis, Sheppard listened to this exchange through a communication relay master PLO Koon had authorized. Beside him, his senior staff assembled, Dr. Weir, Rodney McKay, Tayla, Ronan, and Colonel Caldwell via hologram from the Deadless. They're talking about us like we're a weapon to be claimed, Rodney said, his voice tight with indignation. Because that's what we've become to them, Weir replied quietly. The moment we engaged Dooku's forces, we became a strategic asset. The Republic can't afford to let us remain neutral, and the separatists won't stop trying to claim or destroy us. Caldwell's gruff voice cut through. Then we need to make a decision. Do we formally ally with the Republic, or do we cut and run before this gets worse? Run where? Sheppard challenged. Rodney, how's the hyperdrive situation? McKay pulled up a holographic display showing Atlantis's power systems. I've managed to recalibrate the hyperdrive for Star Wars Galaxy physics, but navigation is still a nightmare. Their hyperspace lanes are mapped based on millennia of exploration. We don't have that data. Jumping blind could land us in a star, a black hole, or one of those hyperspace anomalies Master Koon mentioned. What about the Republic's navigation data? Taylor asked. Could we not request access to their charts? Already tried, Rodney said. They're willing to share limited data for Coruscant's local sector, but anything beyond that is classified military intelligence. Without full galactic charts, we're restricted to this region of space. Which keeps us right where the Republic wants us, Ronan growled. Under their control. We're straightened, her diplomatic instincts engaging. Not necessarily. We have leverage they need, technology, medical capabilities, defensive systems. If we negotiate from a position of strength rather than desperation, we might secure better terms. Or we might get conscripted, Caldwell countered. I've seen this play before. Military needs override diplomatic niceties. If the Republic decides they need our city ship for the war effort, they'll find a legal justification to take it. Through the relay, they heard Master Yoda speak again. Discuss their fate without them, we should not. Invite Colonel Sheppard to speak before the Council, I propose. Hear his perspective, we must. And offer what help we can, to find them a path home. There was silence on the channel. Then Mace Windu spoke, his tone reluctant. Master Yoda is right. Whatever we decide, it should be done transparently. Colonel Sheppard, we know you're listening. Will you address the Council directly? Sheppard exchanged glances with his team. We're nodded encouragingly. Rodney looked skeptical. Ronan shrugged as if to say it couldn't hurt. I'll come, Sheppard said. But I want guarantees. No seizure of Atlantis while I'm gone. No unauthorized boarding. And no attempts to copy our technology without explicit permission. You have my word, Windu replied. And the Council's. Good. I'll be there in 2 hours. The relay closed. Sheppard stood, checking his P90 by habit. Rodney, you're in command while I'm gone. Keep the shields up and the drone chair manned. Already planned on it, Rodney replied. But Colonel, be careful. These Jedi seem nice, but we don't know what they're really planning. I know. Sheppard headed for the door, then paused. And Rodney? If I'm not back in 6 hours, seal the city and jump to random coordinates. Don't wait for me. John, we're started. I mean it, Elizabeth. Atlantis and its people are more important than any one person. If this goes south, you get everyone to safety. He left before anyone could argue. The Jedi Temple's council chamber felt different this time. More formal. More judgmental. 12 Jedi Masters, some present physically, others via hologram, arranged in a circle around Sheppard. It reminded him uncomfortably of military tribunals he'd witnessed during his Air Force career. But these weren't judges. At least, he hoped they weren't. Colonel Sheppard, Master Yoda began, his small form somehow commanding despite his size. Thank you for coming. Questions, we have. But first. How fare your wounded? The question surprised Sheppard with its genuine concern. We lost 6 Marines in the battle. Another 14 wounded, 3 critically. The Jedi we treated are recovering, our ancient medical technology is helping, though it's not designed for your species specifically. And your city's power reserves? Ki-Adi-Mundi asked. Still draining faster than they should because of dimensional incompatibility. Rodney estimates 5 months now before we hit critical levels. Less if we have to fight another battle like yesterday's. Mace Windu leaned forward. Which brings us to the core question, Colonel. What are your intentions? Will you remain in Coruscant space, or seek sanctuary elsewhere? That depends, Sheppard replied carefully. On whether sanctuary means becoming a Republic military asset. We didn't come here to fight your war. We're trying to get home. Yet you fought alongside us, Obi-Wan observed. You used ancient weapons against separatist forces. You allowed Jedi aboard your city. Whether you intended it or not, you've chosen a side. We defended ourselves, Sheppard corrected. Dooku attacked us. We responded. That's not the same as joining the Republic. The separatists will not see it that way, Shaak Ti said gently. To them, you are now a Republic ally. They will target you accordingly. Then help us leave, Sheppard said bluntly. Give us full navigation data. Let us jump to a neutral system somewhere in the Outer Rim where we can research our dimensional situation in peace. And if the Wraith are here? PLO Koon asked quietly. If your enemies followed you through the dimensional barrier and are even now feeding on populations in the Outer Rim? Would you abandon those people to their fate? The question hit like a physical blow. Sheppard hadn't wanted to think about that possibility, that the Wraith might have made the jump too. That somewhere in this galaxy, hive ships could be culling human populations that had no idea such monsters existed. We don't know if the Wraith came through, he said, but his voice lacked conviction. But we cannot know they didn't, Yoda replied. A responsibility, you may have. To warn this galaxy. To help defend against enemies we do not know. That's not fair, Sheppard protested. We didn't ask to be here. We didn't ask to bring potential threats with us. And now you're saying we have to stay and fight. I am saying, Yoda said gently, that running from responsibility, no one can. Help you find a way home, we will. But ignore threats that endanger billions, we cannot. And you, Colonel Sheppard, ignore such threats, can you? Damn it. The ancient Jedi had found the exact pressure point that would work. Because Yoda was right, Sheppard couldn't ignore the possibility that the Wraith were here. Couldn't just jump away and hope for the best while people potentially died. You're manipulating me, he said flatly. Speaking truth, I am, Yoda corrected. Uncomfortable truth, perhaps. But truth nonetheless. Senator Organa's hologram spoke up. Colonel, the Republic is prepared to offer formal terms. Full access to our archives and research facilities to help you find a way home. Protection from separatist aggression. Resource support to maintain your city. Medical care for your wounded. All we ask in return is cooperation, sharing technological principles that might help us end this war faster and save lives. You want our weapons, Sheppard said. We want to understand your capabilities, Organa corrected. Knowledge, not hardware. The Republic has no intention of copying ancient technology wholesale. But if your power generation principles could improve our reactors, if your shield harmonics could better protect civilian centers, if your medical systems could save clone troopers who would otherwise die, wouldn't sharing that knowledge be the right thing to do? It was a good argument. A compelling one. And it made Sheppard deeply uneasy because he couldn't find an obvious flaw in the logic. And if we refuse, he asked. The silence that followed was telling. Finally, Mace Windu spoke, his voice heavy. Then the Senate will likely vote to classify Atlantis as a rogue military asset and authorize its seizure. Chancellor Palpatine has already drafted the necessary legislation. I have opposed it, as have many on this council, but the political reality is clear. The Republic cannot afford to let technology of your caliber remain uncontrolled during wartime. So it's cooperate or be conquered, Sheppard said bitterly. Some choice. It is the choice war forces upon us all, Windu replied. I do not like it any more than you do. But the clone wars have cost millions of lives. If your technology could shorten the conflict, save even a fraction of those lives, can we morally refuse to pursue it? Sheppard wanted to argue. Wanted to tell them all to go to hell, that Atlantis wasn't their salvation and they had no right to demand it. But he was a soldier. He understood the math of warfare. Understood that sometimes, hard choices had to be made. And he understood that the Jedi were right about one thing: they couldn't run from responsibility. "I need to talk to my command staff," he said. "This isn't a decision I can make alone." "Of course," Yoda said, inclining his head. "Time, you shall have. But not much time. Events move quickly. And Dooku will not wait while you deliberate." Speaking of Dooku, Sheppard said, he seemed pretty confident during the battle. Said the whole thing was a diversion for the Kamino attack. Is he really that good at long-term planning, or was he just making the best of a bad situation? The Jedi exchanged glances. Finally, Koon answered. "Count Dooku is many things. Arrogant, ruthless, corrupted by the dark side. But he is not a fool. Every engagement with him must be considered from multiple angles. What appears to be defeat may be strategic positioning. What seems like victory may be walking into a trap. So we can't trust anything at face value," Sheppard concluded. "Welcome to the Clone Wars," Obi-Wan said dryly. "Where nothing is as it seems, and everyone has hidden agendas. Except perhaps you, Colonel Sheppard," Yoda observed. "Direct, you are. Honest. Refreshing, in these times of deception. Trust you, we do. The question is, trust us, will you?" Sheppard looked around the circle of Jedi Masters. Some he'd met: Koon, whose calm had helped in crisis. Windu, whose stern demeanor hid genuine principle. Yoda, whose ancient wisdom came with uncomfortable truths. Others he knew only by reputation: Kenobi the negotiator, Shak-Ti the strategist, Ki-Adi-Mundi the pragmatist. They were warriors serving a cause they believed in. Not so different from himself, really. "I want access to your archives," he said finally. "Everything you have on dimensional phenomena, ancient civilizations, and anomalous force events. And I want direct communication with your top scientists and archaeologists. If we're going to find a way home, we need knowledge." "Granted," Yoda said immediately. "I want protection for Atlantis, but not conscription. We'll help defend against separatist attacks, but we won't be deployed as a Republic weapon. We're not frontline assets." "Acceptable," Windu agreed. "And I want your word, all of you, that you'll continue searching for a way to send us home even after the war ends. That helping us isn't conditional on us being useful to you." "You have our word," Senator Organa said solemnly. "And I will ensure the Senate ratifies it formally." Sheppard took a breath. This was it. The moment of commitment. Then Atlantis will accept Republic sanctuary. We'll share technological principles. Not weapons, not hardware, but theory and concepts that might help civilian populations. And we'll help hunt the Wraith if they're here. But on our terms, not yours. "Agreed," Yoda said. Around the circle, the other masters nodded acceptance. "There is one more thing," Koon said. "The Senate will want to send a delegation to tour Atlantis. To see for themselves what ancient technology looks like. It is a political necessity, they need assurance that their protection is being well spent." "Fine," Sheppard said. "But they come unarmed, with limited access, and under marine escort. This is still our city." "Understood." Koon paused. "And Colonel, thank you. For trusting us enough to stay. I know this was not an easy decision." "No," Sheppard agreed. "But maybe it was the right one. Time will tell." The delegation from the Republic Senate was smaller than Sheppard had feared: Senator Bail Organa, representing Alderaan, Senator Padme Amidala from Naboo, and a Twi'lek senator named Orn Free Taa who kept eyeing the ancient architecture with barely concealed greed. Dr. Weir handled the diplomatic niceties while Sheppard and Rodney conducted the actual tour. They showed the senators the power generation facilities, with significant details omitted. The medical bay, where clone troopers were recovering from battle injuries, and selected portions of the city's defensive systems. Remarkable, Amidala said, studying a holographic interface in the control room. This technology is generations beyond anything we have. Maybe centuries. Millions of years, actually, Rodney corrected. The ancients existed long before your civilization developed spaceflight. Though I'll admit, some of your quantum theories are surprisingly advanced. Whoever figured out hyperspace physics in this galaxy was brilliant. And you're willing to share the principles behind this technology? Organa asked, his tone carrying genuine curiosity rather than demands. Limited principles, we're clarified. Energy efficiency concepts, shield harmonic theories, medical applications that don't require ancient gene activation. We won't be handing over weapons or systems that could be militarized. That's more than fair, Amidala said. And in return, we'll provide whatever support you need to research your dimensional situation. Sheppard studied the young senator. She was sharp, principled, and carried herself with a dignity that reminded him of Elizabeth Weir. Unlike some of the other politicians he'd encountered, she seemed genuinely concerned about doing the right thing. Senator Amidala, he said, can I ask you something? Of course, Colonel. How did this war start? Really start, I mean. Not the political justifications, but the actual reason systems decided to break away from the Republic. Amidala's expression grew troubled. That's complicated. The Republic had grown corrupt. Bureaucratic. The Senate became more concerned with maintaining power than serving the people. Systems in the Outer Rim felt abandoned, overtaxed, ignored. When Count Dooku offered them independence, many saw it as their only option. So the separatists have legitimate grievances, Sheppard observed. Some of them, yes, Amidala admitted. But legitimate grievances don't justify the methods they've employed. The separatist leadership has committed atrocities. They use droid armies to subjugate populations. They answer to corporate interests rather than the people they claim to represent. And the Republic uses clone armies, Sheppard countered. Manufactured soldiers who never had a choice about fighting. The observation hung in the air uncomfortably. Organa and Amidala exchanged glances. You're not wrong, Organa said quietly. The clone army is, ethically problematic. Many of us in the Senate have raised concerns. But we were desperate. The separatists had already built their droid forces. We needed military capability immediately, and the Kaminoans offered a solution. A solution that creates sentient beings for the sole purpose of warfare, Sheppard said. That's not so different from what the Wraith do, treating humans as resources rather than people. The clones are treated with respect, Amidala protested. They have rights, legal protections. Do they have the right to refuse combat? Ronan asked bluntly. To choose their own lives? Silence. I didn't think so, Ronan continued. In my galaxy, we fought the Wraith for generations. They treated us like cattle. Looks to me like your Republic treats these clones the same way. Just with prettier words. Senator Taa sputtered indignantly, but Organa raised a hand. He's right. And it's something we must address when the war ends. But right now, the clones are all that stands between the Republic and separatist conquest. We can't simply dissolve the army in the middle of the conflict. Maybe not, Sheppard said. But you could start treating them like people instead of property. Give them names, not numbers. Acknowledge their individuality. It won't fix the ethical problem, but it's a start. Amidala nodded slowly. You're right. And I'll bring it before the Senate. The clones deserve better than what we've given them. The tour continued, but the conversation had shifted something fundamental. These senators weren't just politicians seeking advantage, they were people struggling with impossible choices in an impossible war. Not so different from Atlantis's own situation, really. That evening, Sheppard stood on one of Atlantis's outer balconies, staring out at Coruscant's endless cityscape. The planet-wide city glittered with billions of lights, a testament to civilization at a scale Earth had never achieved. Teyla joined him, her presence quiet and companionable. "You are troubled," she observed. "We just committed to helping one side of a war we don't fully understand," Sheppard replied. "In a galaxy that's not ours." "Yeah, I'm troubled." "You made the choice you believed was right," Teyla said. "That is all anyone can do." "Is it?" "Dooku said the Jedi would use us and discard us." "What if he's right?" "Then we will adapt," Teyla replied simply. "We have faced betrayal before. Survived it. Learned from it. The Athosians know well that trust is a risk, but without it, we are truly alone." Sheppard smiled slightly. "When did you get so wise?" "I have always been wise, Colonel. You simply do not always listen." They stood in comfortable silence, watching ships move through Coruscant's traffic lanes, each one carrying people living their lives, unaware that a city from another universe now shared their sky. "Rodney's running calculations," Sheppard said after a while. "Trying to model the dimensional rift that brought us here. He thinks if he can understand the exact quantum signatures involved, he might be able to recreate it. Send us home." "And do you believe he will succeed?" "I believe Rodney's the smartest person I know. If anyone can figure this out, it's him." Sheppard paused. "But even if he does, we might be here for a while. Months. Maybe years. Then we make the best of it," Teyla said. "We help where we can. We learn what we must. And we survive until we can return to those who depend on us." It was the right answer. The only answer, really. Somewhere in this galaxy, Dooku was planning his next move. Somewhere, the Republic and separatists were locked in battles that would cost countless lives. And somewhere, potentially, the Wraith were hunting in a universe that had never known such horrors. Atlantis couldn't solve all those problems. But they could try to solve some of them. One day at a time. One battle at a time. Until they found their way home. 3 weeks after the Battle of Atlantis, the city ship floated in a new location, no longer in Coruscant's crowded orbital space, but anchored above the oceanic world of Mon Cala, 60 parsecs from the Republic capital. The relocation had been Senator Organa's suggestion, a compromise that kept Atlantis under Republic protection while reducing political tensions on Coruscant. Here, surrounded by endless blue waters that reminded the expedition members of Lanti, their home in the Pegasus Galaxy, work had begun in earnest. In the ancient archives deep within Atlantis's central spire, Dr. Rodney McKay sat surrounded by holographic displays, his eyes bloodshot from too many sleepless nights. Beside him, a Jedi archivist named Jocasta Nu examined ancient text with scholarly fascination. "This is extraordinary," she murmured, her aged hands hovering over the holographic interface. "The ancients' understanding of dimensional mechanics is unlike anything in our records. They didn't just theorize about alternate realities, they mapped them. And then ascended beyond physical existence entirely," Rodney added, pulling up another data file. "Which means they understood something fundamental about the nature of reality itself. Something we're still struggling to grasp. Have you found anything that might explain your arrival here?" Jocasta Nu asked. Rodney highlighted a section of ancient mathematical notation. "Maybe. This database entry describes something called the dimensional cascade effect. Essentially, when massive amounts of energy interact with an unstable wormhole, like, say, our hyperdrive engaging while under Wraith weapons fire, it can create a resonance that punches through dimensional barriers. Can it be reversed? In theory, yes. We'd need to recreate the exact energy signature and quantum frequency of the original event. But there are problems." Rodney's expression darkened. "First, we don't have exact readings from the transition, we were too busy trying not to explode. Second, the energy requirements are astronomical. Even our ZPMs might not have enough power. And third, he trailed off. Third? Jocasta Nu prompted. Third, I'm detecting trace signatures in this galaxy's quantum baseline that match Wraith biometric patterns. Rodney pulled up sensor data that made his stomach churn. They're here. Somewhere. Maybe scattered across the galaxy like we were, maybe concentrated in one region. But the Wraith definitely made the jump. The revelation hung heavy in the air. Jocasta Nu's scholarly demeanor shifted to concern. Have you informed the council? Not yet. I wanted to be absolutely certain before I started a panic. Rodney rubbed his eyes. But I'm certain now. The quantum signatures don't lie. Life-draining, telepathic, technologically advanced monsters are somewhere in your galaxy. And they're probably very confused and very hungry. Then we must inform them immediately. Master Yoda's ears drooped as Rodney finished his presentation. Around the holographic circle, the assembled Jedi Masters absorbed the implications with varying degrees of alarm. Life-draining creatures, Mace Windu repeated, his voice tight. That feed on human populations. And they're here, in our galaxy. The sensor readings are definitive, Rodney confirmed, standing in Atlantis's conference room while his holographic image appeared in the temple. I've detected traces in 3 separate sectors, the outer rim near Ryloth, the mid-rim close to Malastare, and oddly, in the deep core near Tython. They're scattered, which suggests they arrived the same way we did, randomly distributed across dimensional entry points. How many? Ki-Adi-Mundi asked. Unknown. The signatures could represent anywhere from a single hive ship to an entire fleet. The quantum residue degrades over time, so I can't determine age or concentration. Obi-Wan Kenobi's hologram leaned forward. These Wraith, describe their capabilities in detail. We need to know what we're facing. Sheppard took over the briefing. Wraith are humanoid but fundamentally alien. They feed on human life force through an enzymatic process. Basically, they drain your years of life until you're an aged husk. They're telepathic, especially their queens. They have regenerative abilities that make them nearly impossible to kill without significant firepower. And their technology, while organic-based, is sophisticated enough to pose a serious threat. They are also numerous, Taylor added. In our galaxy, Wraith hive ships can carry thousands of warriors. They cull human populations systematically, treating entire worlds as feeding grounds. When we left, they were engaged in a civil war among themselves, but that will not stop them from feeding. A civil war? Shakti asked. Among the Wraith? We disrupted their hibernation cycle, Sheppard explained. Woke up too many hives at once. They didn't have enough human populations to sustain their numbers, so they started fighting each other for feeding rights. It made them more aggressive, more desperate. And now they are here, PLO Koon observed, in a galaxy with trillions of human lives. A feeding ground beyond their wildest expectations. The silence that followed was grim. Finally, Yoda spoke. Warned us, you have. Grateful, we are. But face this threat, how do we? Fight enemies we do not understand, how can we? You learn, Ronan said bluntly, speaking up for the first time. You hunt them. You kill them before they kill you. It's what we've been doing for years. The Atlantis Expedition has extensive experience fighting the Wraith, we're added diplomatically. We've developed tactics, weapons, and strategies. We can share that knowledge. At what cost? Came a new voice. Chancellor Palpatine's hologram appeared, he'd been observing the briefing silently until now. His lined face showed concern, but his voice carried calculated interest. Colonel Sheppard, your expertise is invaluable. But you've already committed resources to helping the Republic with technological principles. Can you afford to divert attention to hunting these Wraith as well? It was a trap disguised as a reasonable question. Sheppard recognized it immediately. Palpatine was positioning him to either admit Atlantis couldn't handle both commitments, making them appear weak, or to commit to hunting Wraith, binding them more tightly to Republic service. "We'll do what's necessary," Sheppard said carefully. "But Chancellor, with respect, the Wraith are everyone's problem. Not just ours. If they're here and feeding, it won't matter who wins your clone wars. You'll all be culled eventually." "A dramatic assessment," Palpatine replied smoothly. "But perhaps accurate." "Very well. I will authorize Republic resources to support Wraith hunting operations. But I must insist that Atlantis personnel lead these missions. Your expertise is too valuable to waste." "Agreed," Windu said before Sheppard could object. "Master PLO Koon, you will coordinate with Colonel Sheppard. Form a joint task force, Jedi and Atlantis personnel working together to locate and neutralize Wraith threats." "It will be done," PLO Koon said. Palpatine's hologram smiled, a grandfatherly expression that didn't quite reach his eyes. "Excellent. I knew we could count on our friends from Atlantis. Together, we will face these new threats and emerge victorious." The transmission ended. Sheppard looked at his team, seeing his own unease reflected in their faces. "Did that feel like a setup to anyone else?" Rodney asked. "Yes," Weir said quietly. "But what choice did we have? The Wraith are here. We can't ignore that. And now we're committed to fighting on two fronts," Caldwell observed via hologram. "The Clone Wars and a Wraith hunt. Our resources are already stretched thin. Then we prioritize," Sheppard decided. "The Wraith are the immediate threat to civilian populations. We hunt them first. The Clone Wars can wait." "The separatists may not agree," Taylor pointed out. She was right, of course. But one crisis at a time. The puddle jumper dropped out of hyperspace near Ryloth, a world of harsh deserts and resilient Twi'lek colonists. Beside it, 3 Republic Arquitens-class light cruisers maintained formation, their sensors sweeping for Wraith signatures. Inside the jumper, Sheppard piloted while Ronan manned weapons, Taylor monitored sensors, and Master PLO Koon sat in the co-pilot seat, his orange eyes studying the tactical displays with keen interest. "Rodney's quantum tracking led us here," Sheppard said. "If there are Wraith in this system, they'll be hiding on one of the outer moons, somewhere with minimal Republic presence." "The 4th moon," Taylor said, highlighting it on sensors. "I'm detecting organic technology signatures. Faint, but consistent with Wraith hive ship emissions." "Could be dormant," Ronan suggested. "Wraith sometimes sleep between feedings. Or it could be a trap," PLO Koon observed. "Count Dooku's forces are active in this sector. If the separatists have encountered these Wraith..." He didn't need to finish. The implications were clear. If Dooku had somehow made contact with the Wraith, the strategic situation just got infinitely worse. The jumper descended toward the moon's surface, a barren rock pockmarked with impact craters. As they approached the largest crater, Sheppard's sensors detected it, a Wraith dart fighter, partially buried in lunar regolith, its organic hull damaged but intact. "There," Taylor said. "A scout vessel. It must have crashed during the dimensional transition." They set down nearby. The team exited in full combat gear, P-90S, tactical armor, and for PLO Koon, his lightsaber held ready. The moon's thin atmosphere required respirators, which the Jedi handled through the Force while the Atlantis team used ancient environmental suits. The dart was larger up close, its biomechanical design unmistakably Wraith. Ronan approached cautiously, his particle magnum trained on the vessel's entry port. "Life signs?" Sheppard asked. Taylor closed her eyes, reaching out with her limited telepathic sensitivity, a gift from her Athosian heritage that had proven useful in detecting Wraith. After a moment, she shook her head. "Nothing. If there were Wraith aboard, they are gone now." "Or dead," Ronan said hopefully. They breached the dart's hull, moving through cramped corridors that reeked of decay and organic matter. The interior was a nightmare of biomechanical systems. Pulsing conduits, breathing walls, technology that blurred the line between machine and organism. Koon studied it all with professional detachment. Fascinating. The Wraith truly do merge biology and technology. It's unlike anything we've encountered. Wait until you meet one face to face, Sheppard muttered. Then it's less fascinating and more terrifying. They found the pilot's compartment. The Wraith warrior who'd flown the dart was still there, or what remained of it. The creature had died in the crash, its pale body desiccated, feeding hand withered. But even in death, it was imposing, tall, gaunt, with long white hair and facial features that suggested both humanity and something utterly alien. This is a Wraith warrior, Tayla explained to Koon. The lowest caste in their society. Above them are commanders, then queens. The queens possess the strongest telepathic abilities and rule their hives absolutely. Koon knelt beside the corpse, studying it through the force. What he sensed made his breathing apparatus hiss with disquiet. This creature, it is touched by the dark side. Not actively, not with intent, but its very nature resonates with darkness. Life draining is an abomination to the Force. This being's existence disrupted the natural balance. Multiply that by thousands, Ronan said. That's what we've been fighting. Sheppard began downloading data from the dart's organic computer systems, using ancient technology to interface with Wraith biocircuits. What he found made his blood run cold. This dart wasn't alone, he reported. According to the navigation logs, it was part of a larger group. At least 3 darts and, he paused, verifying the reading. 1 cruiser-class vessel. They were scouting this region when the dimensional jump hit. The darts scattered. The cruiser, he traced the trajectory. Crashed on Ryloth itself. In the Bright Lands region. That separatist-held territory, Koon said immediately. Count Dooku's forces control that sector. Then we need to get there before they find the cruiser, Sheppard said. If Dooku gets his hands on Wraith technology. An alarm shrieked from the jumper's sensors. Tayla checked her datapad, her expression alarming. Separatist vessels just entered orbit. 2 Munificent-class frigates. They're conducting surface scans. They're looking for the same thing we are, Sheppard realized. They detected the Wraith signatures. Then we must reach the cruiser first, Koon said. If the Separatists acquire Wraith technology, they could turn it against Republic forces. Life-draining weapons, organic armor, telepathic control systems, the strategic implications are catastrophic. They sprinted back to the jumper, launching even as Separatist fighters began descending toward their position. The race was on. The Wraith cruiser had crashed hard, its organic hull split open like a rotting fruit, systems dead, interior exposed to Ryloth's harsh environment. It sat in a valley surrounded by crystalline rock formations, and around it, Separatist battle droids had established a perimeter. 50 droids, maybe more, Ronan observed from their concealed position on a ridge overlooking the crash site. And that. He pointed to a figure moving among the droids with unmistakable authority. General Grievous. The cyborg general stood before the Wraith cruiser's gaping hull, his mechanical body perfectly still as he studied the alien technology. Behind him, salvage droids worked to extract components, loading them onto repulsor sleds. He's taking samples, Sheppard said, his scope tracking Grievous' movements. Probably to reverse engineer the technology. We cannot allow that, Koon said firmly. The Wraith are abominations. Their technology is an insult to life itself. We must destroy that cruiser. Easier said than done, Sheppard replied. We've got maybe a dozen Marines, 1 Jedi, and a puddle jumper against an entire Separatist salvage operation. Not great odds. Then we even them, Ronan said, checking his particle magnum. I've been wanting to shoot that four-armed scrap heap since the battle. Koon ignited his lightsaber. The blue blade hummed softly in the alien landscape. I will engage Grievous directly. You destroy the cruiser. Use your ancient weapons, reduce it to ash. That'll bring every separatist in the sector down on us, Sheppard warned. Yes, Koon agreed. Which is why you will need to be quick. Ready? There was no time for elaborate planning. Koon simply charged down the ridge, his lightsaber blazing, using the force to augment his speed. Battle droids turned, raising weapons, but the Jedi was already among them. His blade carved through droid chassis with surgical precision. He moved like water, flowing around blaster fire, his lightsaber deflecting bolts back toward their sources. In seconds, 6 droids fell, sparking and disabled. Grievous optical sensors brightened with recognition. Koon. The Council sends you alone. How insulting. You are not worth more, Koon replied calmly. The cyborg general's mechanical laughter echoed across the valley. For lightsabers ignited in his hands, trophies from fallen Jedi. Then die alone, Jedi. He attacked with mechanical fury, for blades spinning in a deadly pattern. Koon met the assault with perfect economy of movement, his single blade defending against all 4 through skill and force-enhanced precognition. While they dueled, Sheppard and his team moved toward the cruiser. Ronan took point, his particle magnum clearing droids with devastating efficiency. Tayla used her P-90 in controlled bursts, each shot finding critical joints and sensors. The Marines advanced in fire team formation, suppressing droid positions. They reached the cruiser's hull breach. Inside, the organic corridors were dark, silent, reeking of death. Bodies of Wraith crew lay where they'd fallen during the crash, warriors, drones, and in the central chamber, something that made Sheppard's stomach turn. A Wraith queen. She was larger than the warriors, more regal, with bone-white skin and elaborate organic armor. Her feeding hand was extended, frozen in death, her face locked in an expression of rage and hunger. She was trying to feed when she died, Tayla said quietly. Trying to sustain herself after the crash. But there were no humans here. She starved. Good, Ronan said without sympathy. Sheppard placed demolition charges throughout the cruiser's primary systems. What passed for engineering in Wraith vessels, the hibernation chambers where other Wraith might still sleep, the organic computer core that stored navigation and tactical data. Charges set, he reported. We've got 5 minutes. They ran. Behind them, Koon continued his duel with Grievous. The cyborg's mechanical precision was formidable, but the Jedi Masters' connection to the Force gave him an edge. He could sense attacks before they came, position his blade where Grievous would be rather than where it was. You cannot win. Grievous snarled, pressing harder. I need not win, Koon replied. I need only delay. Grievous' optical sensors suddenly focused past the Jedi, toward the Wraith cruiser. He saw the Atlantis team retreating, saw the telltale glow of armed explosives. He started. The charges detonated. The Wraith cruiser exploded in a fireball of organic material and exotic energy, sending shockwaves across the valley. The blast destroyed separatist salvage equipment, scattered droids, and consumed any hope of reverse engineering Wraith technology. Grievous' mechanical body weathered the shockwave, but his rage was palpable. You destroyed irreplaceable technology. Count Dooku will be denied a weapon of abomination, Koon finished. As will you, General. The Jedi Master Force pushed, sending Grievous sliding backward across scorched ground. Then he turned and ran, using the Force to enhance his speed, racing toward the jumper where Sheppard and his team waited. They lifted off just as Separatist reinforcements arrived, more frigates dropping from orbit, fighter squadrons deploying. The jumper's cloak activated, rendering it invisible to conventional sensors, and they slipped away into Rylotha's canyons. Inside the jumper, breathing hard, Sheppard allowed himself a moment of relief. They'd done it. Destroyed Wraith technology before it could be weaponized. But Koon's expression was troubled. "What's wrong?" Sheppard asked. "We won. We won this engagement," Koon agreed. "But we also confirmed something terrible. The Wraith are here. Scattered, weakened, but present. And now both the Republic and Separatists know about them. Which means everyone will be hunting them," Teyla said. "Yes. But what happens when they find a live hive? When they discover Wraith who aren't crashed and dying, but active and hungry?" Koon's orange eyes met Sheppard's. "This galaxy has never faced an enemy like the Wraith. They don't conquer for territory or resources. They feed on life itself. And there are trillions of lives here, undefended against such predation." Sheppard had no answer for that. Because Koon was right. The Clone Wars were a conventional conflict, terrible, yes, but comprehensible. The Wraith were something else entirely. They were extinction made manifest. And they were here. In the weeks that followed, Atlantis settled into its new reality. The city ship remained anchored above Mon Cala, its shields a constant reminder of the alien technology that had crashed into the Star Wars galaxy. Republic scientists studied ancient principles shared by Dr. McKay's team. Not weapons, but theories of energy manipulation that might improve civilian infrastructure. Jedi archivists worked alongside Rodney, searching for dimensional anomalies that might explain the crossing and, hopefully, enable a return. Joint task forces hunted Wraith signatures across the Outer Rim. 3 more crashed darts were found and destroyed. One intact hive ship was located in the deep core, dormant but potentially recoverable, and both Republic and Separatist forces raced to claim it. The battle that followed cost thousands of lives before Atlantis drone weapons reduced the hive to ash, denying both factions access to Wraith technology. Count Dooku watched these developments with cold calculation, already planning new strategies. General Grievous received his cybernetic hand replacement and swore vengeance against both the Jedi and the strange warriors from beyond the stars. And in the shadows, Chancellor Palpatine observed it all, seeing in Atlantis not just technology, but an opportunity to advance plans centuries in the making. For the Atlantis Expedition, the Clone Wars had become their war, not by choice, but by necessity. They fought alongside Jedi against Separatist aggression. They hunted Wraith before the Predators could establish feeding grounds. They shared knowledge while protecting secrets. They made allies and enemies in equal measure. And every night, Sheppard stood on those balconies overlooking Mon Cala's endless oceans, thinking of Earth, of the Pegasus Galaxy, of home. Rodney continued his calculations, searching for the quantum signature that might tear open reality once more. Teyla trained Republic soldiers in anti-Wraith tactics. Ronan found unexpected kinship with clone troopers who understood what it meant to be created for war. We negotiated treaties with senators and Jedi alike, walking diplomatic tightropes that would determine Atlantis's fate. They didn't know if they would ever return home. Didn't know if the dimensional barrier could be crossed again. Didn't know if the Pegasus Galaxy still existed in any timeline they could access. But they knew this, they had brought knowledge of the Wraith to a galaxy unprepared for such horrors. They had a responsibility to help defend against that threat. And they would honor that responsibility, no matter how long it took. Because that's what Atlantis did. What the expedition had always done. They fought. They survived. They protected those who couldn't protect themselves. In the Pegasus Galaxy or the Star Wars galaxy, the mission remained the same. And somewhere in the vastness of space, in the quantum foam between dimensions, the universe held its secrets close. Whether Atlantis would ever unlock them remained to be seen. But for now, in this galaxy far, far away, the city of the ancients had found a new purpose. And a new war to fight.